in voiceover specifically, and in audio description narration, and what you know about it and what you expect to get out of this class. That's going to help me specifically understand how I can best tailor what feedback that I can give you based on where you're at. And it'll also help others understand where we're all coming together here. And finally, not finally, that'll be the first maybe 20, 30 minutes here. And after we do go through that, we're going to have two very special guests from the Blind Text Show joining us. It's Brian and Jeff. They're one of the premier podcasts in the blind community, specifically focusing a lot on audio description and sometimes Apple products. They can get pretty irreverent and playful. They're a really good team. So it's a real honor to have them join us, because especially with audio description, it is nothing about us without us. I'm a sighted narrator, and these are not only consumers of audio description who are blind, but they're also experts, and they bring a lot of value. So you'll be hearing directly from some of the top audiences that are there. It's all for our own evolution and growth. I'm still learning from our different audiences. So this is a really important time to focus on what you can take from their feedback. And it's not a performance or a showcase in the sense that we need to, excuse me, we need to, bring whatever. I'd really like to establish out the gate here that all of us can use this as a playground to experiment and maybe do something that you normally wouldn't do for an audition or a performance. That I really want to be able to expand our own, let's see where we can take it and see how it goes. So if you could all keep that in mind too. Hey, Elia, how's it going? I'm really excited that it's the four of us, the five of us, and then we'll have some other people joining us. So let's see, everybody's on mute. Whoever is not, Elia, you're not on mute. Could I put you on the spot and ask you to share why you're joining us and your experience with audio description, if at all, and what you expect to get out of it?
Sure. I finally just got my video working. I don't know what was happening there, but I had to unplug and replug the USB.
Isn't that the way?
Zoom, So yeah, my name's Elia. A lot of people who don't know me call me Ilya or Ilya, but it's actually Elia.
Elia. Oh, I hope I didn't mispronounce.
You did. Actually, you didn't.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's a common thing, though.
Okay.
It's so common that I use it in my introduction.
Gotcha.
But I've been a voice actor. I started studying in 2012, and I actually don't have any experience doing narration. Zero. I've studied a lot of the other ones, and I've worked in a lot of the other ones. I do a lot of commercial, a lot of promo, a lot of video games, mostly interactive. I've done some animation, and what I'm looking to get out of this is learning how to tell a story better and becoming a better communicator. And something about this really, because I watched the thing that you did with Halp initially, and how you spoke about where you put your your inflection, your emotion, how that all plays out, and so that's something I'm really interested in, especially with this this genre of the voiceover.
Great, thanks for sharing, Elia. Audrey, it looks like you're not muted. You want to go next?
Yes, of course. Hi there. I'm very excited to be taking this webinar today. I got started in voiceover 3 years ago, next month. There's a school in Irvine, California. I'm in Southern California, Del Mar Media Arts. So I got certified through all of their classes there and just fell in love with it, being retired. I used to be a salesperson. In any event, I connected with some people in LA that are basically in Spanish. And I did a little of gratis work for Narcos where this director really liked me. Long story short, I was connected to a cloud dubbing company, and I recently did a movie. I did Mickey Blue Eyes with James Caan and Hugh Grant. I did the audio description narration for the movie. So it's been approved through engineering and will be, I guess, coming out in the near future with my voice as the narration. And so that was an incredible experience. Once I got the hang of it with the software, creating the loops, there were a lot of loops, 454, because you do movies all the time, and what you're doing with this. I got a sense, once I started to understand really what I was doing, that taking the words and making them into a story for those that couldn't see what was going on in between the actors, I got something out of it. It wasn't just like a job. It really got me thinking, because there's so many genres in VO, but this is different. This is like you're helping, but you're working and making sense of what's happening behind the scenes as the actors are not speaking, to let those, for whatever reason, whether they're cooking in the next room and they just want to hear what's going on, to people with a handicap, understand what is happening. And also, when I did all my VO, we only tapped into timing very little. And this was all about timing. I'm not the fastest talker, but I had to learn how to speak very quickly to make those paragraphs work. A few words, it was easy. The other pieces that I had to really take a big gulp and make it all happen within that small space of time before the actor started the next piece was extremely challenging, but I did the narration of that movie in a day and a half. I worked around the clock by myself, and I was very, very proud of the fact that I did it without anybody's help. And when I heard the playback with the music from Louis Prima and everything, it was an incredible experience. And so I want to, when I saw that you were doing this webinar, I was just floored, because I was all over the internet. There's so little about this piece of VO. I saw there was a conference in January next year in North Carolina, I believe, but I reached out to some people in recording studios that I know to say, are there any agents that specialize in audio description? There was, people really don't know too much about it. And so I'm very happy to be spending time with you today.
Oh, thanks for sharing all that, Audrey. And as the class goes on, we have a lot of different resources that we can share if you'd like. I really want to make sure that we keep this focused on what the four of you want. So the intention is to make sure that we get you interacting and performing as much as possible. If you'd like to set aside some time at the end to do some Q&A and maybe discuss some of the resources like you were asking about, Audrey, I'd be happy to share those. But I want to make sure that it's a consensus of everyone that, you know, we did set this up as a workshop, and I want to keep that focus, especially for what you need. So if you could keep that, if everyone could keep that in mind in the back of your head. There's over 4,100 titles of audio description. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And as we go on, I'll try to drop little things here that we can all look to make sure that we're all getting as much value as we want, not just in these 3 hours together, but also going forward, that each of us can find other ways to continue to grow not only your own voiceover career, but if you do want to specialize in audio description, ways that not only you can grow your skills, but how to continue to get the feedback from our audiences and help that adjust your reads to be the best that they can be. So this is a very exciting class. Workshop, whatever you want to call it. Thank you. So Kat, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name's Kat Prentice, also in Southern California. I'm down in San Diego. I have zero experience or anything with the entertainment industry other than as a consumer. I'm active duty in the military. I will be retiring at the end of this year. Yay! So, you know, just starting to interact with some of my favorite voiceover actors from video games on Twitter got me into the Haupt Network, and I thought, well, you know what? I might as well learn. Maybe I'm flailing around because I'm in a midlife crisis. I'm going to retire. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, right? But I have zero experience. But I do have a connection in that my father, Alan Woods, essentially kickstarted the theatrical audio description, you know, world, as it were, realm in Columbus, Ohio in the 90s. And I remember him working very hard on that. So it's kind of, you know, in my familial background, but I myself have never done it. So I have no expectations whatsoever other than to learn a lot and to sort of like stand in the corner and watch the rest of you do some amazing things.
We'll make sure you get up to the mic too to play around. This will hopefully be a enjoyable experience for you. And thanks so much for sharing. It's funny, Alan's name's come up twice in the last week. We're doing interviews not only with narrators but also decision makers and influencers in the world of audio description, and his name has come up. It's
really?
cool.
I
oh yeah.
will let him know. I let him know about the Facebook group, the audio description Facebook group, and I'll let him know that y'all are still talking about him. I think he'll be thrilled.
Yeah, well, I want to get him as an interviewee, but that's outside of the realm of this. So anyway, sorry, excuse me for networking as we're teaching here. Okay, sorry. Brent, hi.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Brent Mukai. Where to start? I'm a full-time voice actor. I have been for a couple of years now. Non-union side, so everything that I do is mostly marketing and or, you know, a couple pay-to-plays and mostly just direct marketing and connecting and all of that stuff, which I love doing. And where else? I come from an improv background. I've been doing that for about 11 years. I've been teaching it for about 10 years. Come from acting, come from screenwriting. When I had hair, I thought that I wanted to be the next Asian Seth Rogen. That was a while ago, but I worked for an indie film crew for a long time. I also did a lot of reading of table reads and would do the narration parts of all of that, which I'm assuming isn't exactly what we're doing today, but might be adjacent towards it. I've also done some dubbing work in the anime realm and otherwise a little bit of looping work, which is, you know, talking to time, which I'm pretty familiar with in that regard as well. I'm a storyteller through and through. I really love expressing myself through that medium of storytelling. I haven't done a whole lot of narration. I've done a little bit. The bulk of my stuff is commercial, e-learning, explainer videos, all of that stuff. But I feel like even in the explainer stuff, it's very much so telling a story, right? And I saw what you do. Somebody turned me on to you. A friend of mine turned me on to the genre, as it were. And then as I started exploring the genre, your name kept coming up over and over again. So
annoying, isn't it?
We'll see. We'll see after we're done talking about ourselves. But so I'm super thrilled. I'm super excited. What I'm hoping to get out of today is just to see what it entails, what the work entails. See if you know, if what I'm putting out, in my brain, it feels like it's something I could be competitive in. So I'd like to know that also. And then if those two things align and it seems like fun, then I'd love to know some of the resources on how to get some of this type of work and like what to do, because from what I understand, it's not specifically like you get an agent and then all this audio narration work kind of. So I think even that's more in my ballpark too, of reaching out direct and sending a demo, whatever, and what's necessary and expected, I guess, in this. So tall order, I know, but I thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you asking us what we want. I think that's cool from an instructor. So already star.
Okay. Well, and one of the things that I think will start bubbling up for you and also Eli is that the similarities and And the difference is to voiceover, that a lot of the work that I've done in audio description has made my voiceover work even stronger, and vice versa, the work that I've brought from voiceover into audio description. So there is a symbiotic like connection almost. It sounds strange, but we will be going over timing as far as Audrey, what you were talking about, that pace and how to do it in a way that makes it as immersive as possible for the audience. And related to that immersion of the audience, that when we bring these scripts to life, as all of you know, when you experience it, Kat, as an audience member, or Elia, when you're delivering your voiceover interactive performances or the commercials, that you are telling a story in a way that the focus is on the story, that we as narrators are providing intention, that we are performing. It's a very special kind of performing. It's not less performing, it's just a very nuanced performance. And I want to make that explicitly clear, that this is a performance in the sense that we want to make sure that our audiences are fully immersed in the story that we're telling in a way that if you can imagine footsteps in a movie or a TV show, and if they're too loud, it's gonna take you out, and you're like, "Oh, that's it takes you out." In the same way that if there's no footsteps, it's like, okay, why there's too much silence. That when it's done really well, you don't notice it, and that's something that I'd really like to focus on today with each time that we come up. There are so many aspects of audio description. There's timing, there's intention, as we talked about. There's pacing. Audrey, you mentioned that in your experience with that feature film with the hundreds and hundreds of cues that you did. And there's also an emotional essence that we bring to it. So you'll notice that as I give feedback, it's not going to be all encompassing. We're just going to focus on maybe one aspect or another aspect. It's not going to cover everything. So if you find that you would like some more specific feedback on one particular aspect that you're not sure of or you'd like to ask, please feel free to speak up. I will be holding back just because there is so much to cover. But if there's something that you need, I really want to make sure that it's not an accommodation, it's delivering what you need. So that's kind of the gist that we're going into, and it's important for me to introduce it that way. I'd also like to very quickly go over the quick thank yous for the obviously our guests that are going to be joining us. It's Brian Fischler and Jeff Thompson. Uh, we are donating a portion of the proceeds to the American Council of the Blind Audio Description Project. We'll go over all those details there, but it's a great resource for learning about audio description, its history, and some of the things that are happening in that world, not to mention the 4,100 plus titles that are out there. Obviously, Halp Network and the Academy that's been so caringly taken care of by Julian Armstrong and Chip Beeman and Julia Bianco, that all of them are definitely caring for this industry in a way that I've never seen before. It's beyond the professionalism and the excellence that they provide, but there's a real care for voice talents like yourself. So I feel like that's a high bar that I'm joining. So there's a lot of pressure on me to make sure that I'm within that world. So if there's anything that's happening during today that's just not sitting right, please speak up. I really have to trust that you'll share, but I really do have our own best intentions to bring the best here. So let's get started. Does everyone have the chat window available on their Zoom? If not, give me a thumbs down. Okay, so I'm going to share a script from one of the scenes that we're going to do. And it's what we're going to start with is just having each of us read this with different intentions. Specifically, let's see, there it is. Had to paste it. So this is the opening scene of a short film, and it's a drama. It's got some detective-y feel to it, so a little touch of suspense, not a huge amount. But what we're going to do specifically with this script that I'm sending you is we're going to bring different intentions, and the idea of intentions are to give you something to do In other words, you'll be talking to someone in your mind. Think of either it's a friend, a family member, or some sort of relationship, a very specific relationship. And what I'd like to ask you to do is to read these what, maybe 3 or 4 sentences, just neutral. We'll start off neutral, and after we do that, we'll start playing around. So let's thumbs down if you don't see it. Okay, cool. So how about who would like to start? And again, we're going to start with just a neutral read of these sentences.
I can go, Roy.
Thanks.
In a residential area, a young woman taps on her cell phone screen. A title appears, Deal. Sporting short, wavy hair, the woman glances off with an anxious expression. She puts away her phone. We share her view as she scans the street lined with cars. The parked vehicles pass in a blur. The view lingers on the empty sidewalk, then scans back the other way.
Very cool. Thanks. Elijah, just asking for instant feedback. What did that feel like for you?
That's actually, it's how I usually approach any of the copy I get. So just with a flat read, and I try to do it neutral, so I get my own impressions of what's going on in the pace of somebody discovering it as either as somebody consuming it or as me doing the same thing. So I feel like I feel like there's more. If I were to make a choice, it would either go more urgent, like something's about to happen, or more mysterious, as she's discovering something. So that's probably where I would take it from here. But I don't know. I don't know if it was too much or over the top, or
Well, let's start off with your use of the word discovery is a great anchor word for all of us. Discovery is something that helps keep the script alive. It's a beautiful word, that you were discovering things as they were coming along. And as to the 2 different intentions for the second round, urgent and mysterious, just based on the script that you were given. Obviously, you don't have access to the visuals right now, so we're kind of cheating a little bit on that. But just what you see right now, would you find it more urgent or more mysterious based on just the words that you have?
I would say it's more urgent because the vehicle's passing in a blur.
Great. Well, let's let's do a second read of this with that urgency. And to clarify to the rest of the participants here, that urgency doesn't mean super fast. That urgent is, there's a nuance there. So, Elia, I don't mean to to preconceive what you are already going to do, but I just wanted to clarify that urgent doesn't necessarily mean super fast.
Great, thank you. In a residential area, a young woman taps on her cell phone screen. A title appears, Deal. Sporting short, wavy hair, the woman glances off with an anxious expression. She puts her phone away. We share her view as she scans the street lined with cars. The parked vehicles pass in a blur. Our view lingers on the empty sidewalk, then scans back the other way.
Thank you, Elia. I'd like to ask the other participants, could each of you give your experience of Elia's performance the first and the second time? Just like a sentence or two, just your experience. Audrey, I think you're unmuted. You want to start?
I am? No.
Oh, it's cool. I'm just picking on you.
I,
Picking you.
I really like the second read. I got a lot more emotion. Since we're not doing timing per se, we have more time to do a typical paragraph like this. I don't know. I think he left some emotion on the table on the first read. I got it on the second read. I really liked it a lot.
Thanks for sharing. Kat?
Yeah, much the same. What I really liked about the second reading was especially at the end, because you didn't end it on a complete downfall, a drop in your vocal timbre, your pitch. You kind of left it open, right? So it was like there's something else coming and I don't know what it is. And I thought that was neat.
I thought the way that you paced out the second read was a lot better. I thought that your pacing on the first read was great, but I felt more intention on the second read with the way that you sorted it out, I guess.
And to Kat's point, there was a invitation at the end to, hey, let's join this ride, especially since this is the opening audio description. This is the very first scene. So not even 30 seconds in, you're introducing the world here. And that introducing did come across as a invitation. Elia, what was your experience the second?
Well, it's the second time. Like Brent said, you know, actually, what Kat and Audrey said too. I had read it already, so I was more familiar with the copy, so I kind of knew what was coming around the corner, and I was able to lean in the turns a little bit without just kind of going straight across. So it felt more connected to me. And I guess I have done some I have done a lot of dubbing actually, so I know like when it comes to timing and lip flaps, and usually there's like a lot of punch and roll. So like Kat, you said at the end, I've learned that it's not supposed to, a clip is part of a whole, so it has to carry across. So I guess I've learned in previous experiences that I don't want to land things hard so that they don't button together with the rest of the piece.
Very cool. Thanks, Elia. And out the gate, that first read, you did have choices that were made. And there was, each one thing that I want to really focus on is that, is it working or is it not? It's not necessarily a bad performance. It's just each of us are going to bring our own take to it. That was it useful and did it work for us? So I appreciate all of you giving that kind of feedback and putting you all on the spot for that as well. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Great. Would you like to use the same script or would you like a new one?
I'll stay with the same script.
Very good.
Okay with you?
Of course.
Where I typically record, I have window people measuring all over my house, so I'm kind of sitting in another room. So to see it, I had to kind of get up close and personal to my Mac.
Okay, great.
Okay, kind of like leaning on a bed is what I'm doing right now.
Sure.
In a residential area, a young woman taps on her cell phone screen. A title appears, Deal. Sporting short, wavy hair, the woman glances off at an anxious expression. She puts her phone away. We share her view as she scans the street, lined with cars. The parked vehicles pass in a blur. Our view lingers on the empty sidewalk, then scans back the other way.
Thanks, Audrey. How was that?
Very small for me to see.
That's an issue.
It's point type. And I'm normally standing when I read, so I'm kind of like tucked in here. I thought it was okay. Okay, read.
What would you like to do differently for the second round? Or would you like feedback?
Feedback, please.
Oh, sure. One of the things that is important to our audiences is that in addition to nothing about us without us, that they want to be part of the conversation. That's something that is not in a lot of narration, especially with this kind of genre where it's this somewhat suspenseful, mysterious. I loved your word urgent a lot. That there's there's something going on and you're not really sure what it is. It's very easy overall in audio description narration, especially when it's look at this service that we're providing blind people, to slip into a condescending read. I'm not implying that you did that, Audrey. I'm just commenting outside of your read that it's
Mhm.
important that with that immersion that we don't speak down to our audience. Now, obviously, if you're talking to kids in a kids show, that's not condescending. It's just talking to a kid. Specifically for this scene, I'm curious if we could play the intention of thinking in your head, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And I hope nobody notices me. If you can keep those intentions as you read it this time, let's see if that changes anything. It might be the same read, it might not.
In a residential area, a young woman taps on her cell phone screen. A title appears, Deal. Sporting short, wavy hair, the woman glances off with an anxious expression. She puts her phone away. We share her view as she scans the street lined with cars. The parked vehicles pass in a blur. Our view lingers on the empty sidewalk, then scans back the other way.
Thank you, Audrey. All right, so could we have some feedback from the other participants here? Anyone want to start?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
start. Um, I liked your second read a lot. I think that I got a sense of an ominous feel on the second read that I don't think that I did on the first, and it just added a lot to the story, I think.
Thanks for sharing. Kat, alive?
Yeah, I feel like I can tell that Audrey has done this before, and I almost wonder if she's done audiobook narration as well, or how similar these two genres kind of fold into each other. But I actually got more from the first read, more of a sense of mystique and danger. The second read felt more luxurious and luscious to me. That's just my ears.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing. Kat?
Yeah, well, I have to say that I also agree that I like the second read better because I think I felt that sense of, like, is somebody watching me? Right? There was a real sense of somebody sort of like, side-eyeing the people around her, and I like that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Audrey, what was your experience like?
I like the second read. Sometimes if I read something again, it's not as good as the first read because you're performing, you're you're you know that they're wanting to hear something different and it might not come out of your mouth that way. I kind of feel it's a little mysterious, and that's how I tried to read it.
Thanks. And what was it like to hear different opinions on the different reads?
I love to hear opinions because that's the only way that you can learn. Because you're self-directing and you hear what you hear, but how other people interpret what they hear is totally different, and that's how I learn.
Thanks. One of the analogies I like to use is the first time that you ever left a voicemail greeting. When you listen back to it, it's like, wait, who's that? You're so used to hearing your own voice inside your own body that the first time you hear it, and Kat, I saw you smile at that. I'm not sure if you relate to that or not. But there's something about that adjustment that you're talking about, Audrey, that feedback allows you to, oh, I intended this, but it came out this way. So I need to bridge that gap and get a little closer to where I wanted it. Or maybe it'll validate exactly what you did bring.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. And what great words to pick up on. What I'd like to ask all of you is, as you get feedback from each other and our special guests when they join us, is that you pick up on the words that people are using to describe your read. One of the greatest things about audio description, not only that there's 4,100 different titles out there, but no one person is going to do all 4,100 titles. Uh, so as you bring your own take to it, that becomes not a pigeonhole, but an opportunity for you to bring what you know you can bring. That doesn't only help with your confidence, not that any of you have any issues with confidence, but it brings a very special way that you narrate that no one else can do. And so when it comes to finding work or doing this work, that you can know that you're bringing a very special take that no one else can. And I think it's been incredibly valuable just in the words that we've gotten so far to note those and keep an eye out. Okay, so here's my thing. This is the thing that I do, and it's great to know that. And Elia and Audrey, you're getting some great words here, so that's good.
Thank you.
Who'd like to go next? Brent?
I'll go next. I'd love a new piece if that's cool.
Sure, absolutely.
Switch it up.
Yeah. So in this new piece that I'm giving you, this is the end of the scene. You'll see some words in brackets. Those are actually dialogue that you would hear once we do the scene to picture. So if you could ignore the capital letters and you see like a 2 pause, that's a 2-second pause. You can bypass those pauses for the sake of what we're doing today. But is that pretty clear to you? I think, just ignore the brackets basically.
Gotcha.
Thanks. And feel free to jump in or take a second, either way.
Okay. Staring at her, Kate hesitates to speak. The dark-haired woman smiles and walks off. Kate watches her go. The woman stops and looks back. Glancing away, she shows Kate a badge. She smiles, then continues down the sidewalk. Shifting on her feet, Kate presses her lips together. She stares after the woman, then turns away. Her image blurs as she walks in the other direction. Fade to black.
Thanks. And jump right in. What do you think, Brent?
It's interesting because it's like I don't know the context of it, so I think I kind of went too general with it, and I needed to make a choice of what the mood is going to be. But other than that, I think I read words.
Yes, you did. And you did bring something to it. It's, I think, you said the Seth Rogen comparison. I think, maybe sometime in the future it'll be Seth Rogen will be called a Harry Brent. I don't know.
Love it.
Okay. What would you like to do for the next time? Would you like do you want some feedback, or do you want to make a choice of the intention you want to bring?
Yeah, I think I'd like to make a choice of the intention. I'm sorry, let me just read it over one more time and then...
Sure, of course. And as he's reading it over, this is, again, the first part. We're going to start ramping up. So this is just super basic.
Okay. Cool.
And would you like to share your intention with us, or do you want to do it and see if we guess it?
Let's do it and see if he guesses it. I like that.
Game's on.
Staring at her, Kate hesitates to speak. The dark-haired woman smiles and walks off. Kate watches her go. The woman stops. The woman stops and looks back. Glancing away, she shows Kate a badge. She smiles, then continues down the sidewalk. Shifting on her feet, Kate presses her lips together. She stares after the woman, then turns away. Her image blurs as she walks in the other direction. Fade to black.
Thank you. Let's see. Who would like to start? Audrey, would you like to give some your experience?
Normally, like you would see the scene, so there is no scene. Um, I would have liked to have heard it just like a tad slower, but I love his voice. His voice is amazing.
Can you
Um,
help? Oh, so sorry. When you say lower, what do you mean?
I mean a little slower,
Slower. Thank you. My audio blanks. I'm sorry.
slower. A couple of the sentences, although with timing sometimes you have to do that. Um, I think just a tad slower in my head, but I do love his voice. Very smooth.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I
Roy?
um, I actually felt Brent's first take was very contentious and almost aggressive. And so it's interesting for me to hear him say, I just didn't put anything on it. So I wonder if he's actually just a badass beneath that Seth Rogen facade there. He's been very cutting about it, very very aggro like this. But the second take actually felt like the first half of it, it was going for this longing. This is going to be a broken moment of unrequited love, and then halfway from me it switched to um, more of a jilted lover sort of. That's how it goes, you know. um, I would have loved to have heard that pining on the beginning of the second take all the way through, and so when it fades to black you're just like, oh.
A little slower. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's interesting. Thank you for the feedback.
Cool. And Kat.
Yes.
Uh,
You want me to try to
what was
read,
yours?
or my experience?
Uh,
Okay, well, I understood that the question was, okay, can we guess Brent's intent, right? And so my feeling from it was that there's an unbalanced power dynamic here, right? So Kate is unsure of this situation and then is surprised when she sees the badge. That's what I got out of it.
Brent, what's your take on all this?
That was what I was going for, was the uncertainty and the anxiousness of not being unsure of who this woman was in the first part, and then when she sees the badge it's almost as if it's like I don't know. It's almost like now the situation, I know what's going on, but it's worse that I know that she has the badge and it's not good. But it's interesting, this love dynamic that Elia picked up on it. But the anxiousness, I don't know. In response to Audrey, I was going for the anxiousness and uncertainty, so I went a little quicker. So that was a specific choice, but um, yeah, that's what I thought.
Thanks, Brent. And before we go on to you, Kat, I'd like to introduce our one of our special guests. We've got Jeff Thompson that just joined us. He's part of the Blind Tech Show, and uh, among a great trio of some of the best podcasts out there when it talks about some of the access, and not to mention one of the funniest podcasts I've ever heard, especially after yesterday's Facebook Live presentation. Uh, Jeff, I'd like to introduce you to some of our participants in today's audio description narration class. We've got Brent and Audrey and Elia and Kat. So thanks
Hello.
again for joining us, Jeff. Right now, we're just starting off reading scripts from an audio description script. And shortly we'll be adding audio to it to get a sense of timing and feel to it. So thanks again for joining us. Got you on mute. Still on mute, yeah. technical issue there, but if you want to send me a text, I'll keep an eye out for when that mute unmutes it. Thanks, Jeff. Kat, we've got a few different scripts to choose from, the beginning and the end. Which would you like to start with?
I think I'm going to try to go for the beginning, if that's all right.
Great. And Jeff, we're going to start with, this is a detective sort of drama short film. And it's, again, we're just starting off with the opening 30 seconds of the audio description. So each of us is taking our own take, and then we'll do a second take on it. Ready when you are, Kat.
In a residential area, a young woman taps on her cell phone screen. A title appears, Deal. Sporting short, wavy hair, the woman glances off with an anxious expression. She puts her phone away. We share her view as she scans the street lined with cars. The parked vehicles pass in a blur. Our view lingers on the empty sidewalk, then scans back the other way.
Thanks, Kat. How was that for you?
Well, my father taught me something when he was talking about acting, about how when you're anxious, you should talk and feel like you're speaking a little bit too slowly, and then your pace is actually perfect. And I don't think I did that. I think I went too fast.
Oh, okay.
My heart was really pounding. I'm very nervous.
It's very exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is.
One of the cool things about this, this, as we called it earlier, a playground, is that this is a really, hopefully safe and comfortable. I know we all are just meeting each other, but I do want to make sure that you do allow yourself to feel those feelings of this is new, this is exciting. That's part of the process, and thank you for sharing that. For the next round, it sounds like you want to try a different take, maybe a little bit slower. Is there anything else that you'd like, or would you like some feedback?
I'd like some feedback.
Great. So let's try that pace a little slower. And one thing that might, if you can keep in the back of your mind as you're reading the words, that you're, do you like visual analogies? Do those work for you?
That should work, yeah.
Okay.
I don't
so
know, because I've never done this before.
Let's try it. And if this doesn't
Okay.
work, we've got 6 other opportunities here. I'd like you to imagine that in front of you is a wall that you can push, but you have to push very consistently and very hard, but it's barely moving, just like maybe an inch a minute. But if you let go of the wall, it'll spring back on you. So you want to keep that pressure on. And if you're, I'm not sure if you're able to, but if you can imagine pushing that wall as hard as you can, but it's going very slow, and see if you can allow yourself to slow the pace a little bit. Let's see how that goes.
Okay, we'll give it a try. In a residential area, a young woman taps on her cell phone screen. A title appears, Deal. Sporting short, wavy hair, the woman glances off with an anxious expression. She puts her phone away. We share her view as she scans the street lined with cars. The parked vehicles pass in a blur. Our view lingers on the empty sidewalk, then scans back the other way.
All right, thanks, Kat. Anyone want to share their experience between Kat's first and second?
Sure. Kat, I loved your first read. I thought it was great. And, to my untrained ears, I didn't feel that it was too fast. But, what do I know? What I really liked about it was that I think actually you lost more of in your second read was your emotion in it. Because in your first read, I was seeing that young woman with that phone, and then the confusion of the things passing, and the second one I lost that a little bit more, maybe just because you were focusing on more the pace. But I think your first natural read, I really loved it. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Audrey?
Kat, honestly, I feel you because I know that nervousness. And your first read had that raw, because you've never done this before, and you read it great. That raw emotion, that nervousness made it real, where you were trying to hold back, I think, on the second read, because, you know, sometimes, like I said before, if I'm direct, you know, the expectations are different. The first read, I I really felt it because it was really you, how you were feeling in that moment, and I loved it.
Thank you. Interesting.
I feel like you have some great storytelling bones in you, Kat. You have this way of reading the story. It doesn't come across as reedy. I think it was, I could picture the story, and you didn't do like it wasn't like a humongous thing that you did. It was just a really good interpretation of the story, and I think you felt it, and I connected. I'll agree with that. I think the first one was a little more connected, but the second one you slowed down, and it was nice, and that's incredibly hard to do. So I think it was good direction taking on your part, just being able to slow down, you know. So yeah.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
Kat, how about that feedback?
That's great feedback. I'm you know, you talk about confidence issues and it's like, I can't do this, but thank you all. You know, it's very encouraging. And what's interesting is the you know, like when you're in the middle of it, it's kind of hard to remember what you did. So kind of like martial arts, you go and you do you know, you're sparring, and then certain people can remember every move they did, and then I'm just like, I have no idea, and I rely on people to give me feedback, right? So I really appreciate that. I thought it was really interesting that, you know, my perception of the first read was, this is terrible, it's too fast, and the majority of you actually preferred it. So that's really intriguing.
There's something about that, as Audrey said, the rawness, the realness that comes out because you've never done it before. Jeff, love to hear what you think. Let you know when you're off mute right now. Sorry, dude. Still on mute. Let me see if I can unmute you. Gotcha, man.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Hi.
Eh, Hey, nice to meet you all. Sorry about the mute thing. It's not reading for some reason. Maybe I'll take you off full screen, but the first one, yeah, I felt the emotion, but then I was thinking that on the second one, maybe it allowed me to have my emotion that I was perceiving through the movie, and you were just giving me information I needed. Um, I don't think you were reading a book where I'd want all that from a book reader, but as for someone giving me an audio description, I just needed to enhance what I'm missing. So I liked the second one better. They were both good. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, thank you. That's yeah, it's valuable to understand, you know, like there's a fine line between trying to perform a story and then just trying to get out of the way.
Hmm.
It's really well put. And there is a juggle to it that this there's a lot going on technically, as we'll find out here shortly with the timing. Those who have mentioned doing dubbing or even reading stage directions, as you said, Brent, for when you're doing a play reading or even a feature film reading, there's a lot of elements that will contribute to it. And back to the martial arts comparison, that this experience that we're having today is part of that. If I could go back to Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, that we practice certain moves, right? And as you become more familiar, oh, this is the thing I do, that it becomes, you know, in the same. I don't want to compare what we do to dancers directly, but in this case, it is practicing certain moves and certain things that we can bring to the table, and we know how those moves are experienced by our audience. And it's important, as I said earlier, it's so important that we have our audiences, that our experts give us feedback, and it's a real honor, Jeff, to have you here. Because of that, we were able to bring our best performance by listening to what works for you. So thanks for having thanks for being a part of it. I'm going to stop being grateful because that's all I am. let's move on to bringing this to the to timing. So what I'd like to ask all of you as I open this up is, oops, which either if you'd like to read what we've already shared with you, or if you'd like to do something ice cold. There's benefits to both. The ice cold read keeps it pretty spontaneous and puts you on the spot. And if you choose to use a script that we've already used, then you can focus on some other things like timing and such. So I'll do my best to be flexible. And shortly I'll be sharing the screen here. So if you can think about, or actually, if you could send me a chat message if you want something new, just text something new, or first for the first script, or last for the last script. And I'll get the screen share up and we should be good to go. Oh yeah, people are going for something new and something last. And all right, so let's get the screen share. All right, so right now we should be looking at a script. If there's any accommodations with you not being able to look at the chat message and see the screen, please let me know. I'm a little bit limited to some of the things that are, you know, as far as this goes. So I've got your chat window open, so send me a chat if something's not working. Let's see. We're going to start with Elia. And this will be pretty short scene, about 3 minutes in. 3:15. Let's see, I'll share the script with everyone. So if you'd like to follow along, you can. Paste. Let's paste here. There we go. All right, so that script that starts Kate Stairs, that'll be for Brent. And let me cue it up. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. And again, we're doing some accommodations here with the limitations on Zoom. So if for some reason it doesn't work, we'll do our best. As you can see, Elia, there's a 2-second pause after the second sentence. And then you'll hear the other brackets. Who are they? Are they like rivals? Don't worry about it. So we're throwing you right in. You'll have about 6 seconds before you jump in at the time code. You see where my mouse is. When this 309 gets to 315, that'll be your cue to jump in. Does all that work for you, Elia?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to work out my my chat window also so that I can see
Sure.
at the same time. So okay,
Great.
let's do it.
All right, here we go. If for some reason the volume isn't working as well as it needs to, please let me know. We did a test run yesterday, and this level seemed to work pretty well. So
Okay,
we'll see how it works.
thank you.
Once you see me hit the play button, there'll be about 6 seconds before 3:15. For the rest of you, there may be a little bit of a latency lag, so please give some allowances for that too. Here we go. I can't hear it.
Me neither.
Stand by. Stand by.
Hey Roy, just a thought. Did you in options of Zoom put in share audio as well?
I'll double check. Thank you. Thanks for that suggestion. I'm looking for the, I'm going to try to stop screen share and get to those settings.
Okay.
Oh, it's actually in the share screen settings.
Oh, thank you.
So when you share the screen, then at the top it'll say screen share options, and then it'll have like a little drop down thing, and you have to click on it manually every time to share the audio
Thank you very
as
much.
well. No problem.
Still, I thought I clicked it right. And thanks for your understanding of this technical difficulties here. I think we got it right. Let's try it this time. Almost. Could you hear a little background there? Thumbs up.
Yeah, but I lost my words.
Oh, very good. Coming up.
No.
Audrey, or Kat, I can't remember who's talking. You might have to hit chat, and that will pop up a new window.
Yeah, you also can't be in full screen.
Let's see. How's the audio?
Keep him comfortable. You know, I mean, regardless of what he did, he doesn't.
Great. Okay. Hey, thanks again. I think we're good to go. 3:09 gives you 6 seconds to 3:15. And all right. Thanks again, everybody. I'll let this roll for a few seconds. Here we go.
Keep him comfortable. You know, I mean, regardless of what he did, he doesn't deserve to suffer. Who were they? Are they like rivals?
Don't worry about it.
So sorry. I think we have some audio issues on listening to you as well, Elia.
Yeah, I wasn't able to hear myself that time. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was really hard to hear your delivery, Elia, but I could tell that you were hitting the marks, like your words were synced up with the action.
Let's see if we can try one more try on this. Elia, let's see. I'm going to just start playing a random part. Can I ask you to just say test 1, 2, 3?
Test one.
Why do you care? I'm not applying for a job here.
Hey.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, for some reason that is affecting our listening. Let's see.
Does everybody see the words of the script? Because I don't see them.
Oh, if you go to the chat area, if you mouse over on Zoom, there should be a chat.
Ah, yes, I got it.
All right. So let's see. We've got a sense of what this scene is, and again, we did do a test run yesterday, and this seemed to work. So I'm not sure why we're not able to hear the audio as clearly as possible. What I'm wondering is if I can. Let me try one more thing here. What I'd like to do is play this scene just to give you all a sense of what the audio sounds like. And then after the scene is over, Elia, could I ask you to jump in? and we're going to have to use our imagination, and I'm brainstorming in my brain as to how we can make this work the way it excuse me, the way it was working yesterday.
I'm so sorry to interject, but I actually have a one more suggestion for you, because Zoom
This is
will
great.
eliminate some of the background noise, or what it perceives to be background noise. If you go into the bottom left corner where you have the mute button and the audio options, if you click on the arrow there, then it'll say audio settings at the very bottom. You click on audio settings, it'll take you to the speaker, the microphone, all that stuff. If you go on the bottom right of that, it'll say advanced. If you click on advanced, then you can click a button that says show in meeting option to enable original sound from microphone. And then it will also allow you to suppress persistent background noise and disable that, suppress intermittent background noise, disable that, and echo cancellation. Just leave it at auto. And then if you'll notice in the top right corner, it'll say turn on original sound. You can now have that as an option, and then when you play with that, then it will allow you to keep on your microphone to give straight audio as opposed to reduced sound audio when somebody else is speaking.
Very cool, and thank you for that. We'll make sure to note that for future classes. Is there and Brent, double win here? Thank you.
Nice work, Brent.
Did everybody get that, or does anyone need oh, very good. Anyone that didn't get it, thumbs down. Great. Brent, let's try this again. Everyone can still see the screen? Okay. Thanks. And Elia, take 3. Here we go.
I'm just trying to keep him comfortable. You know, I mean, regardless of what he did, he doesn't deserve to suffer.
So sorry. Still getting a little glitchy there. And Brent, or sorry, Elia, I know I can hear you great when we're doing it. So let's take this one without timing, and just you go ahead.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Kate stares ahead as the bearded man rides by in a slow-moving car. The dark-haired woman eyes Kate. Kate stares after the bearded man, then drops her gaze. The dark-haired woman studies her. With a furrowed brow, Kate looks between the woman and the street. Kate looks away.
Thank you. All right, we're assembling this in our mind. The edit has been done. Jeff, do you have any feedback based on the read that Elia just did?
I thought it was fine. It was there. It was just good. It was good. I don't mean that. I'm not saying it wasn't better than that. No, it was good. I liked it because it didn't distract me at all. It was just smooth.
Great. And Jeff, could you talk a little more about that? Didn't distract you? What do you look for if you were to think about not being distracted? How would you explain that?
I just want information. You know, I think there's a zone of emotion where you can go up and down and all that, but it almost has to flatline between 7 and 4, you know, and not hit those peaks. But you stayed consistently in that zone, so I wasn't like listening to you. I was trying to remember the film. Your background. I mean, it was good.
Thanks, Jeff. And I love that 7 to 4 range. I imagine a 1 would be a Siri voice or a Alexa voice, and a 10 would be that armchair quarterback. Go get him! Oh my gosh! You know, those are the two. Is that about where you're talking, Jeff? That finding that sweet spot when you say 7 to 4?
Yeah, just that neutral right there. It's just information that enhances what I'm taking in from another sense.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Elia, would you like some comments from our other participants?
Please, thank you.
Audrey, it looks like you're unmuted.
Yes. It's too bad we couldn't see it with the movie, but it looked like you were spot on. You took the pauses and you were, between 7 and 4, not monotone, but not all over the place. And you told the story without being overbearing. I liked it.
Very cool. Brent?
Yeah, I thought it was nice and even, man. I thought you did a really good job. And I mean, dude, you were like legit spot on all of it. I could hear the little bits when you were doing it to time. And dude, you were like exactly it. So that combined, I think, was perfect.
Very cool. Kat?
Yeah, what I thought was interesting was I kind of got from the voice, like, the sort of classic movie voice, in a world where, right? And it was almost like, for me, like you were really conveying sort of this ominous part in that's happening in the background, and that there's no dialogue for it, right? So there's this bearded man riding by in a slow moving car, and he's staring at them, right? And there's this definite sense of this foreboding, and I think that caught that.
Very cool. How's that, Elia?
Yeah, I guess from some of the dubbing experience I do have, I am looking for quick signals to tell me the tone and what's going on. And I'm in a dude driving by like this. It gives me like, oh, that's probably not a good thing. He's driving by like that. And I, even though I don't know what's going on, although it's great to hear Jeff's note that I'm trying to give more information than I am embellishing on it. So that's something for me to work on. And as far as the, I mean, Roy, I know there's some technical difficulties, but you saw at the beginning of the session, my video wasn't even working. I mean, sometimes I just used my Zoom. I've been using my Zoom every day, and sometimes I don't know. I don't know. I had to unplug it or reboot it, but I know how it goes. So, but it is very helpful to play it. And then when our first one, what we did was, it's just words. What do you think? Your own imagination. Here are the two people. There's that creepy dude rolling by in a car. Fit into that slot as to to tell that story in that little vacuum right there. That just even being able to watch that, even yet alone being able to do it at the time, has been really helpful in terms of, here's where we are from here.
Very cool. All right. Thank you. And let's move on to Brent. Looking for my mouse.
Cool.
All right, I'll share the script with everybody. Brent, did you get the young woman?
The young woman stares distantly, then looks down the sidewalk. Yeah, this is the same one, right?
My mistake. I cut and pasted.
Oh, wait. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, it's different.
No, yeah, it's different. I'm sorry. My brain is... That was my brain.
Similar.
So with audio description, we've got the audio cues, we've got the timing cues, we've got the time code cues. There's sometimes visual cues. There's also the writing the emotional tone in a way that doesn't, go above 7 or below 4. Thank you, Jeff. I'm going to steal that if that's all right. There's, as we share this information, there's a lot that we're juggling, and we're adding Zoom. So let's see how this goes. What I'd like to do is try playing this with audio and see if your Zoom might work. If it doesn't, we'll play it through a second time, and then we'll stop, and then we'll listen to you. So I think we're all set to go. The time code for you to jump in, Brent, is going to be 1:15 on the nose. So right now we've got 1:08, so you've got 7 seconds before you jump in.
Cool.
Thanks. Here we go.
young woman stares distantly, then looks down the sidewalk. With long dark hair, another woman approaches in slow motion. She holds her hands in her pockets, moving closer as time passes in quick jumps. The dark-haired woman stares ahead.
Do you have it?
Oh, good. Yeah, with that little
Okay.
pickup that we did, that makes it a little harder.
Ha!
Let's see.
So
Let's give
2-second pause, and then the dark-haired woman stares ahead with a. Okay, I see where I messed up.
Yeah. So we're taking it back, and Here we go. This will be 6 seconds before you jump in.
Sweet. The young woman stares distantly, then looks down the sidewalk. With long dark hair, another woman approaches in slow motion. She holds her hands in her pockets, moving closer as time passes in quick jumps. The dark-haired woman stares ahead with a cold expression.
Do you have it?
All right. Yeah. So the timing, I didn't tell you this, so this is a little bit of a cheat. You have to finish by 1:34. So
okay.
The pause was great. Both pauses were great, and I think just pick up the pace a little bit. Would you like some feedback, or do you want to give it a third shot here?
I would love some feedback.
Great. Okay. Let's Jeff, could I ask you to start?
I thought it was good. Kept getting better. I was looking forward to the next one. It was great. I know where all of a sudden she says Kate. It's like, it was good. I noticed that in the first one you got louder near the back part of it, which helped. So some of this could be the video stuff like that, but you definitely, the second one was an improvement and was getting better and better.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Let's see. Who's next for feedback? Kat?
Oh, no, sorry. Okay, unmuted. Sorry. No, I saw the timing issues, and I liked the second read because I could see how it was, as a sighted person, I was seeing how it was flowing with the action, right? I liked especially the part where you were describing her coming in slow motion and there's sort of the quick cuts. I think that worked really well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I could tell in the first take, Brent, you were trying to find your tone, find your tone and the timing and everything is going on at the same time. At the second time, it seems like you just started talking, and it was just like, for me, it just folded in. I was like, I'm there with you. And it was a nice balance between, it's like, is this a dangerous moment? Well, it's definitely a mysterious moment, but it wasn't really distracted by anything. It was just moving along. I had a question about the timing, but maybe you're probably going to get to that. So I'll just stop there.
Flag it in case I forget, but I'll make a note.
Okay.
And Audrey? Oh, sorry. Hang on. I think we're still muted, Audrey.
Why it keeps doing that?
There we go. Now we got you.
I really liked the first read, even with the pickups. I realized, you got off track with the timing, but I felt the words more come to life than in the second read for some reason. I really liked the first read. Just work on the timing because that would throw everything off with the pickups. You just have to stop and redo it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Cool. Let's see. I'm going to share the last script again. I think I am. There we go. For Kat, was that you that asked for the last script?
It was me.
Great.
Twas I.
So, twas you. So this is going to be 5:21 when you jump in. So again, if you're looking at the share screen, this number right here, when it's 5:21, that's when you jump in with, excuse me, staring at her. You'll also see that I didn't include this. Your audio cue is that the character will say the street buying drugs. So you'll have both the time code 5:21 and also the audio cue hearing the street buying drugs. As soon as you hear that, start with staring at her and ignore everything in brackets. Work around it. Is that pretty clear, Kat?
I think so.
Great. I'll give you about 5 or 6 seconds to jump in.
Okay.
And let's see. All right, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Great, here we go. Starting at 5:16, 5:21 is when you jump in.
Nah, there's more to you than a woman in the street buying drugs.
Staring at her, Kate hesitates to speak. The dark-haired woman smiles and walks off. Kate watches her go.
Hey,
The woman stops and looks back.
don't take this the wrong way, but I hope that I don't see you again.
Glancing away, she shows Kate a book.
Me too.
She smiles, then continues down the sidewalk. Shifting on her feet, Kate presses her lips together. She stares after the woman moving away. Her image blurs as she walks in the other direction. Fade to black.
Thanks, Kat. Hey,
Yeah, I
Jeff.
think-
Oh, sorry,
ahead.
go ahead, Kat.
No, Jeff first. Jeff first.
I thought it was good. The timing was right in there. It just filled those pockets, you know, that it just fit, and it was fluid. I liked it.
Thanks, Jeff. Other feedback? Audrey?
I think that she was spot on. She followed the script. She saw the actors speaking their pieces and came right in right after, saying what she had to say in the background, back and forth with the actor. I liked it a lot.
Thanks. Brent? Or
Sorry,
Elia? Go ahead, Elia.
it was so much more involved. You had more breaks and then more words and then more time. And there's a lot of balls to juggle. I think you did a great job. And I'm trying to watch the screens you do it, and you're. I thought that was. I learned a lot by watching you do that.
Yeah, I thought it was spot on, dude. Like I don't know what to say. I thought it was really good storytelling, and I thought it was really good timing.
I think one of my favorite parts is 3 seconds ago, Kat was smiling so big. What's your experience, Kat? Can you unmute and share?
Well, I'll just, we're all our own worst enemies, right? So I was thinking at the end, oh my gosh, I said every sentence with the same cadence, blah, 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 blah. And it's like somebody's going to hear that. And if I did it throughout the entire show, it would just be very distracting. But thank you all. Yeah, it was really challenging. I was kind of watching what was going out of the corner of my eye and then trying to tell myself, don't fill the space with noise. If you're done and stuff is still acting, just wait, it'll come.
That's quite a practice. Jeff, can you address that cadence that the Kat was talking about?
I love cadence. In the back of your mind, it's like that tick-tock of a clock going, Believe me, you don't hear the clock ticking unless you actually are trying to fall asleep and it's on your wrist or something like that. But it's easier to find something cadence. Like in the one we did a little ago where the voice came in and said, hey, I mean, that's an abrupt hey, and it's hard to really end and stop and start around such a short little. You had some pockets there that it just filled in, and I wasn't distracted at all. I mean, yeah, the other one with the hey, it was like, wow, that's a tight squeeze. That's a, I was more thinking of mechanics there, and I didn't think about that at all until it was done. I said, ah, that's settled right in there, real nice.
Oh,
Can
love
I
how
ask
you said
a
that.
question
Settled, yeah.
Thank
about
you.
the timing? I was going to ask
Hmm.
because the thing that I learned by Kat's read right there was it will tell you, it'll tell you a 2-second pause. It'll tell you, it'll write out in all caps the text being or the line being read in the show. But whoever's translating this into the script, when you're reading the narration, you don't really know how much time you got. So you're kind of relying on the translator, the script writer, to have already been doing this out in their head or out loud or something. Or how do you find that pocket? Because or is there some sort of standard by which you can go with?
There is, when it comes to scripts, each writer has their own take. Each vendor has their own take. And in this one, they do have a very specific cadence. I think almost all of the scripts that we'll be playing with today were written by the same company that do have a very consistent cadence that you can trust. So great question. Some companies are what feel like twice as fast. They really try to pack in as much content as possible. And with this, I'm going to use the analogy of dance, not in the sense that we were talking practicing moves before, but in the sense of a couple's dance. That my experience as a narrator with these particular kinds of scripts is that there is this give and take, this back and forth where Kat, you jumped in the deep end and trusted the feeling that I'm not sure if that analogy works for you. It's one that uh, it's really the way that I fell in love with the technical side of the audio description is leaping in and trusting that this script is going to come in when it comes in. I loved how you said, Kat, about trusting in the silence. That and Jeff, you can confirm this. That when there's silence, that doesn't mean that there has to be narration. That there's times when you do need to allow the scene to breathe, to allow the emotional intent of what's happened on screen to be experienced by the blind audience in the same way that a sighted audience would experience it.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Audrey, I think I don't have in front of me what you want. What would you like?
You can give me something fresh. That's fine.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Copy. Almost there. This will be, Jeff, this will be towards the beginning of the scene. And as you can see, you're going to jump in at 49 seconds. I'm going to start you at 43 seconds to give you about 6 seconds to get going, Audrey. Let's see. I think everything's set. Audrey, are you ready for to jump in? Oh, Audrey, are you ready to jump in?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, gotcha. All right, here we go. So sorry, we're going to stop you because I think we're having a similar issue that we had with Elia's connection. So what I'll do is I'll play this whole scene, and then after it's done playing, I'll pause it, and then if you could jump in with your lines, so you'll get a sense of the audio and video before you do it. I'll try it on mute. Does that sound okay, Audrey?
Okay.
Thanks. All right. All right, Audrey, if you'd like to jump in.
I'm having trouble with my internet. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. You want me to just read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. She takes her phone from her jacket pocket and stares at the screen. She looks up, watching a car drive by. Putting her phone away, the woman shoves her hands into her pockets. She bounces on her feet, her eyes shifting.
Great. Thank you. Jeff, if you can edit the audio that you heard with the narration that you heard, what was your experience?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good. It was smooth. It was good. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't distracting at all, and yeah, it eliminates the timing part of it. But good job.
Thank you.
Thanks. Other feedback?
I want to say that from the visual part of this and what I'm getting to know about this story is that this is kind of an isolated and lonely young woman on top of her anxiety. And I really felt like you caught that. I mean, it just felt kind of sad and lonely and anxious. And that felt, that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Brent?
I thought your storytelling was spot on. I think that it's, thinking about the 4 to 7, I think you landed in that pocket, and to my ears, it was really good.
Thanks, Brent.
I'm sorry I had to run out and handle something really quick, but I did catch that last one, and it felt like a nice, flat, even read, which I'm garnering from this workshop is where you want to be. It actually acts. It makes me want to ask a question, which is, how much can you inject into the read? How much swagger can you stack on before it's too much?
It's a great question. A lot of that will come from more experiences. Each genre, I believe, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, has its own 4 to 7 range. For example, if there's a action adventure scene with people jumping around, chasing each other in cars, that level of intensity is going to be a lot different than this particular scene where it's almost a drama. Jeff, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would move it up to at least 5.5 to 8.5.
I love this range.
Yeah, but I don't want to say monotone, at all. But those subtle little shifts that I'm listening to, that I'm hearing, are good. You all been nailing that the subtlety, just that, doing more in a little smaller space, if that works.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like this piece itself is more, nothing big's happening. We're describing somebody looking one way and then looking another way. It feels like that we are supposed to be more drawn back, right? For this particular genre and piece.
I guess to make it more of a specific question, it's not like, here comes the car and it explodes in a ball of flame. It's more like, say, for the one that Audrey just did. If it's like, she takes her phone out from her jacket pocket, or she takes her phone out from her jacket pocket. Is that too you know what I'm saying? Where's the fine lining on that one?
Sure. Could I give an example over the top that would not work?
Please.
Okay. So she takes her phone from her jacket pocket and stares at the screen. She looks up, watching a car drive by. Putting her phone away, the woman shoves her hands into her pockets. That's too much. That when those of you who have had experience with improv or dubbing or any voiceover experience, that kind of performance is bringing yourself into it. We'll do an example later where we do dubbing within the world of audio description. So in that world, it's not the dubbing where you're recreating the character. If you can imagine yourself as a UN translator, that you're still giving a little bit of nuance to it, as Jeff had said, that it's not monotone. There's a subtlety to it, but there's you're basically translating what's happening from the actor on screen that's speaking something that is subtitled in a way that you're reading the subtitles. You're providing the visual access to the subtitles. You're not providing the actor's reinterpretation. So that gets really shaky, but I use that example to answer your question, Elia, that we are bringing something to life in a way that's keeping the focus on the story. So as we continue going on, I'll try to expand a little bit about that and give some more examples, but to your two examples, that this is very subtle. It's very, it's a lot more even, and that evenness brings up the suspense. So in this particular example, it's one very unique and very specific genre that we'll explore some other ones shortly.
Right. Thank you.
Sure. What I'd like to, we're at about an hour and a half into our course. What I'd like to ask is we can continue going, but I'd like to ask if we want to take a 5-minute break. Thumbs up for 5-minute break, thumbs down to keep going. So we got 2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up for a break, 4 thumbs up, a unanimous break. I'm going to stay on the phone here, or sorry, on the Zoom if anybody wants to ask some informal questions, and we'll come back. Right now it's 12:36. I'll set a timer for 5 minutes, so 12:41. We'll come back.
Great.
Jeff, it's so cool to have you here. And your live thing yesterday cracked me up. I could not stop laughing. Did you have as much fun as we did?
It was quite different. I'm an editor, so it was like I didn't get that out of my mind. Like it was different to actually shut it off and walk away.
Yeah, I remember when you brought that up. I could feel not the tension, but just this is weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. Brian has his moments, and the whole. It's taken 46 podcasts with him to get him into that zone more so. And I thought I had it, and live, it's like, I remember you. This is Brian unedited. No one's heard him this way. So, but it was fun for the first time of trying something. Learned a lot.
Yeah. Oh, it was really great. I'm really, I enjoyed it. It was neat to also see you all responding to the comments that were coming in.
Yeah. Well, next time I'm going to have my iPad or something so I can actually monitor them too. Because I knew half the people. So, but Serena didn't know. You know what I mean? So we had one person doing it and flipped on by. I had another recording that came in from one of the gentlemen that was in the comments, so that would have been kind of neat to. It was a vote of confidence recording, but it was just kind of neat. So now I'm going to have to use both hands, left hand and right hand next time, because I can bring in sounds or clips, and I got the noise on my keyboard. So it's like driving a new car. You got to get in and get settled in a little bit.
Sure. And I imagine pretty soon it's going to be like conducting an orchestra if you're including some audio stuff too.
Yeah, it's wide open, and I'm learning from here
Mhm.
the voices that you guys are doing. It's like when I'm on a podcast, I'm always thinking about the voices, and I've noticed like Howery, Miss Howery, Satana,
Sure, sure.
the way she can take her voice and just tweak the tail end, or just, but then like you do so well, that subtleness, all within this range, it's like just those little
Mhm.
motions. It's, yeah, it is an orchestra. It is, yeah, everything going on
And
at once. So I'm learning
I
from you
think
guys right now too.
one of the challenges is that assumption of the subtlety means that it's less acting, and I'm still trying to find the language for it, but it's through the experience that each actor brings that we're able to get there, and it's not do less. It's even that it doesn't sound right. It's like there's I still
You,
haven't found
you're
the exact words.
you're doing more in a littler space.
There we go. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So.
aren't you supposed to maybe undershadow the actors so you're just making words come alive in between a scene so those that cannot see or have some sort of an impairment or what have you can figure out what's going on without seeing? It's more like
Uh,
monotone, more undertone, not elaborate in any way.
I think the focus, and Jeff, correct. I'd love your thoughts on this. I think the focus is always to make sure that the spotlight is on the story and the immersion of the audience. And
Yeah.
monotone, I think, limits it to a very specific way that can take away from that immersion from the audience. That's just my opinion, but I'm curious what Jeff feels about it.
Well, when Tinkerbell, or in Disney, when that little fairy thing flies up and does that little wand and the sparks fly like that, like pixie dust coming down.
Mhm.
In the background, there's that little tink 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 sound. I mean, they didn't need to put that sound in there because you saw everything, but that little tinkling, that sound of little, I don't know even how to make that sound. I can't imitate it. But
Right.
that little sound that you hear of those little sparks
Mhm.
falling and stuff like that, that's where the audio description comes in. The narrator can just add that little touch to it, that
Hmm.
I think that's where it comes in. Not, distracting would be, where it just like Roy's example there that he did give, that where he's trying to tell you how to feel instead of, like you mentioned, just enhance that moment, just that little I like that undertone, that little right underneath everything, so it doesn't change the feelings you're getting from the story.
Mhm. Mhm.
One of the examples that's been that I've used for feedback is that if you hear from an audience member listening to your audio description narration, they said, "Oh, you did such a great job during this scene," that that message versus, "Oh my God, do you remember when that character jumped from the house and just landed in the car?" That latter example, when they're talking about what happened on screen in a way that they actually saw it, then you've done the audio description in a way that serviced the audience. If audiences want to talk about us as narrators after the fact or before the fact, great. But if in the middle of watching a TV show or a movie, they're thinking about you, I find that that's a good template for time to adjust.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got another scene here. Um, for this particular uh, okay, so this is, I'm trying to think how to introduce it. This is from the Imitation Game. It's a Miramax film. There's a lot of suspense and some action. Uh, right now, it seems like of the four of us that are participating, there's two that are going to be a little tricky to make this work. So if I could ask for this scene, we'll all do it. But the two people that have the audio working pretty well, I think that's Brent and Kat. If we could start with you both, Kat or Brent, anyone want to start? Just unmute yourself first. I'm keeping an eye on that.
I'll do it.
Oh, Brent, nicely jumped. All right. All right. So here's the script. I'm sharing it with everyone. Again, ignore the brackets. And little Benedict Cumberbatch for everybody here.
Oh, nice.
So this is starting at 1:39. And we'll give you 6 or 7 seconds to get started. I'm not sure if this is the scene that gets too loud, but let's try it, and I'll make adjustments as I can. But Brent, I've sent you the script, and you should be able to see the screen and be able to hear it. If you're ready to go, give a thumbs up, and I'll start playing. All right, here we go. Here we go. Jeff.
Your words, very precise. I could understand every word. It seems like they were separated really well, which is important, especially if they start blending together. So I really like that. Yeah, there were some spots there, but it was good. The articulation I think I'm looking for was spot on. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I really got a sense by you juggling this so well, what the cues are, what the, like how long does it go for until he says, "Oh my God," and then you like fell right back in. It's like, oh wow, that's a nice high balancing act there. Thought that was nicely done, and I learned a lot from that read you just gave.
Audrey?
Yeah, watching the wheels in motion and you describing what was going on absolutely took me between the words to understand exactly what was happening in the scene. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
Kat?
Yeah, that the part where the machine stopped, right? And then there's this dead silence, right? Because here they're trying to figure out whether they've cracked the German code, and there's this anticipation. You nailed it. It was awesome.
Thank you. I have a question. Roy or Jeff, feel free to answer this one, but within this, like, one question: how many takes is the expectation? Is this like dubbing, where it's like we're gonna play it through, do what you can, and then we'll play it through a second time? Is it more time constraint? Is it less time constraint? And secondly, if my words aren't directly matched up with what's going on, you know what I mean? If I'm eyeballing it, is there an editor there that's also being like, oh no, I just slide over that line when he says, Peter brings over a piece of paper and gives it to Joan, even though I didn't say it perfectly where he's running over and giving the piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like, my brain's trying to match the audio to sync up, and sometimes it's getting a little overwhelming at that point. But yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, that overwhelming feeling is not unique. Each company that provides audio description has their own take. There are some companies that provide a director, an editor, and also quality control. There's others that send a script and send the audio and or video, and you turn it around. So those are extreme ranges. I find that if the editor is able to slip and slide a scene to make sure it matches, then you probably won't have to take it again. If you do make a flub, and flubs happen, you're basically doing cold readings. It's going to happen. That's not unusual. That you in a recording session, they would usually stop, take it back, and you do it again. There's been times where that happens maybe once or twice in a 40-minute show, and then there's other times where there might be one phrase that you get stuck on and you do it 3 or 4 times, and the director will either choose to keep going and come back to it at the end of it so you don't get stuck in your head, or they find that the phrasing that they wrote in the script just doesn't work. A very quick example is there was a woman whose face clearly showed an open mouth and open eyes, and the script said she looked odd. And when the director heard that line being read by the narrator, the homonym odd sounded like the opposite of even. So she looked odd, like, well, what's odd? So they rephrased it. She had a look of awe. It was that simple. So there's a lot of collaboration here between the different players within the world of audio description beyond just the writer and the narrator. There are other examples where there's, to Audrey's point, where the narrator is self-directing because the company has faith in the narrator to deliver what they need. And there's still engineering and quality control happening beyond what Audrey sent. Not that she did a bad job, it's just, little tiny adjustments and tweaks. So there's all sorts of different ranges to go. Jeff, I'm curious if you have any experiences with the editing as far as the timing of how the audio description narration syncs up with when you're watching a TV show or a movie.
Well, I can't really compare it to exactly where it should fit in. It just
Fair
comes
enough.
in. Yeah, with the voices and stuff. Sometimes the music, it's nice when you say that car makes that big sound or something, that if it can fit between there, that's almost like a word sometimes. So sometimes the music is part of the obstacles, if I may. But yeah, the flow, the visual doesn't bother me as much because that's why I'm having audio description.
Gotcha. I guess more specifically, one thing that popped out to me as I was doing that was nervously rubbing his lip was like one shot, right? And it went on for longer than I thought, and I was already saying Alan grabs his notes from nearby before Alan was grabbing his notes from nearby. Is that going to be an issue, or is that going to be something that is just like, oh, that's close enough, we're good?
Great question, and thanks for clarifying that. There's a lot of liberties that are taken where unless there's a spoiler, the goal of the audio description script is to make sure that the audience has the same experience as a sighted audience. So if there's a big reveal, you don't want the audio description audience to react sooner or later than when the sighted audience happens. So, like a surprise scene or an unexpected thing or a reveal, or especially in horror films, the person comes out of the corner, out of the blue or whatever. Aside from those very specific timing elements, there's a lot of liberties that are taken so that the audio descriptions, the script that you're reading, gets as much information out. So great question. It's not going to be in sync. Kat, you got a question?
Well, I kind of, with that issue of timing here, right? So in this particular film, I mean, I'm going to have to rant about it. I'm totally going to overdo it. I'm in the Navy, so this is like really near and dear to my heart, right? But this would be a point where I would say, like you would want to say the wheels stop before that dead silence hits, right? So that everyone is experiencing this, it comes to a stop. And what does that mean? Total failure or success? Would you agree with that?
This is one of the best moments that I've seen in audio description, where the wheels stop and that silence, when it's done at that sweet spot, it almost gives you chills. That's the experience. So absolutely.
Okay, thank you. No pressure.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And that's not a criticism, Brent. That's not. I didn't mean that as any criticism. You did a great job.
Wasn't even taken as such.
Excellent. Great. Okay. So yeah, the slip and slide on the editing side, they the ones that do have the care and timing to make sure that it happens correctly, it's a great thing. Uh, Great. So who is next?
I think you said it was going to be me, right?
Let's do it. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. We're going to have 7 seconds lead before you start at 139. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
139. Okay, I'm just trying to see if I can see the numbers. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Good to go?
Good to go.
Okay, here we go. Thank you, Kat.
That was awesome. That was so much fun. I know I screwed it up. It was great.
Jeff, what was your experience?
I like the intensity that you kept, the little slant that you had going there with it all. You know, as dramatic as it was, I was getting filled in with it was just right. It was just right. It settled in there real good.
I think you follow.
Hey, Audrey, I think I got frozen on your screen. Could you try again?
I think she's still frozen. She might have just been knocked out of the internet
gotcha.
session. But I agree 100%. Kat, I think I really liked the intensity of what you were going with, and like it just had an anxiousness to it that I thought was really good.
I think this is one of those cases where, like, if you know the history of what was going on, that, you know, if you understand the moment, right, how momentous this moment was. And this is, in fact, Alan Turing, right? So it's like, nerd.
It was clear that you knew what was going on and what was at stake. But I liked that you didn't push it at all. You just kept telling us as we moved forward. In fact, you hit that timing on the wheel stopping, just so. And then I'm curious. I mean, in a post production, even if they wanted that, the wheel stop, and then she says the wheel stop, versus her nailing it when the wheels stop, because maybe it's difficult to hear. They can do that in post, right? They wouldn't say, "Hey, we got to do that again."
Yeah, and they can, and they do, especially for these kinds of scenes. That, you know, there's some flexibility on some things, but I just yesterday I was working on a scene where a character reveals something, and I had a bumper of about a total of just less than a half second before before the next cue. And so because of that flexibility, I saw the time code allowed me to, you know, this phrase, I had a second less than what I would normally pace it out by. But because that character had such a big reveal, instead of jumping in with the audio description, I let it breathe. Just barely a half second to let it sink in before we start talking about what's happening in the visuals. That these kinds of moments are, as a narrator, you can make those choices once you become familiar with these time codes and how long they take and how much time you know it takes you to say this certain phrase, so that you can bring that creativity and that art to, you know, as you know, when a character is revealing something, to let that really sink in and not just dive right into the audio description. And welcome back, Audrey. Sorry, we got frozen. Still on mute.
My internet connection's giving me trouble. Okay.
Gotcha. Great. Let's move on to Audrey. You've got, do you have the script in front of you in the chat window?
Say. No, I do not. I just
Okay.
see from Roy Samuelson to everyone. There's no script there. Ah, there it is. Got it.
Sure.
Move it over. Is there a way for me to shuttle the faces so I can move the script over?
Usually when you mouse over, there should be a hide thumbnail video. It looks like an underscore as
That's
opposed
okay.
to a block.
I think I'll just leave it just below the film. I'm good.
Okay. And I think we had some audio issues, so I'm going to turn down the volume pretty significantly. And if we can't hear you, I might mute it altogether. So what we're going to do is, yeah, just do your best to go along. I know you won't be able to hear some of the audio cues that are listed in that script, but let's see what we can do under our constraints. You ready to go?
1:39 is my timing.
Correct.
Okay.
Here we go. For the way that this works, but we still can use what you delivered. You know, obviously our timing was tricky just because of the technical limitations that we're facing. Hey Jeff, what'd you think of Audrey's?
I thought it was good. I was really getting into the movie, which just shows that it was good. It was. I didn't get lost in you. I was into the movie, just following it. You know, it was really good. I thought it was good.
Thank you. I wish I would have been able to hear it because I was pausing in my head, and other than seeing the device stop, there was no way to really know what was going on.
Right. And that's our Zoom technical limitations with the way that our audio and the mic are working together for some of us. So thanks for accommodating that in spite of that timing pacing issue.
It seems like something that might be similar in terms of just straight dubbing. Well, you're not having to match lip flaps. You're kind of keeping like one eye on the copy and one eye on the action, and seeing how things are unfolding. It's a lot, and I'm learning a lot from everybody today. But I got a lot from Audrey's read there about nice, even pacing, and also having to keep an eye on the action on screen.
I think it's about the movie, not about what you're describing. You're just, I think you're supposed to be the background, just underneath, you know, just, that's how I understand it to be.
And with that background, the goal is that, as Jeff said, he was really into the movie. He's really into it. He wants to know what happens next. That's mission accomplished.
Thank you.
Kat, Brent?
Yeah, I don't think anybody has said anything that you know I'm feeling in, you know, in the sense of I really liked the even read of it, you know, and that it was I felt what was going on, right? So I know I was like super excited about it, and this just seemed very even and very calm, and that brought its own level of excitement to the sounds that are going on in the background. I like that take. I like that version of it.
Great to hear that, Kat.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, you know, a different interpretation, I guess. If we're supposed to be somewhere between 4 and 7, I feel like, you know, Kat was more of like a 6-7. You were more like a 4-5, like the intensity scale.
Great. Let's see. Based on this, let's see. Is that here? I'm going to ask you all whether you would like to go to a really intense. So sorry. We still have one more read. Brent.
I gotta go.
Yes. So sorry about that, Brent.
Did Brent go?
I went already. Elia, you have to go.
Yeah.
Elia, I'm sorry, Elia. I got ahead of myself. Forgive me.
That's good. It's all good.
Cool. So one thing I played around with that may or may not work, I'll try to adjust the volume in between your reads we'll see if this works. It's a little manual, but
I tried to do some audio settings on my side after Brent's suggestion. So I don't know if because like I said at the beginning of the session, I was having technical difficulties. So it is.
Let's try it.
Great, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to give you a 9-second lead in, and you start at 1:39. All good?
Great, all good.
Awesome. Here we go.
I need a new message. The latest intercept.
Oh, so sorry, we got you on mute, my friend. There we go. Can I give you a 3-second lead in?
Oh, sorry. Are we doing the he turns the knobs?
We are, and my timing's off. Forgive me.
Okay. It's like
have you heard of? No worries. Have you heard of PEBCAC? It's a PEBCAC. Kat, thanks for laughing.
Oh yes,
I don't know what it is, but it sounds backwards.
Problem exists
between. Go ahead.
No, you got it, Kat.
It is. Problem exists between chair and keyboard.
It's all me. All right. Again, 9-second lead in. I've actually got it queued up correctly. Great. Thank you. Very cool. Thank you. So again, we've got our audio technical issues here, but how was your experience, Jeff?
I liked it. You all got different voices, and that's not bothering me at all. But you had a nice steady delivery. It was consistent. Once I heard your deeper voice, once it settled in, it was, I'm using the word settled a lot, but once it found its place in my head, you were gone. I mean, but your information was there, so it was fine. It was really good.
Thanks. Any other, Audrey?
I like the fact that you weren't acting, you were not ready, but you were just telling the story more quiet than your other reads and letting the movie play when I could hear it. There was lots of audio problems on my end. I don't know about everybody else's ends. Sometimes I heard you, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I heard the movie, sometimes I didn't. Like, I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah, and part of those not hearing the movie, we were trying to adjust to accommodate his read, so we could hear both the production and his read. That's a limitation that we're facing with microphones and playback with some of us. So, if you could overlook that, it sounds like the read was working for you.
Oh yeah, the read totally was working for me.
Yeah, I like that you. I feel like you kicked it up a notch in this one as opposed to what the last one was, and appropriately so. I feel like there's a lot going on. There's wheels turning and they're stopping, and then everything's meaning everything. And I thought it was really good storytelling, man.
Very cool. Any other feedback for Elia?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you've got that kind of narrator, like that documentary voice, so, or that, I want to say that describer voice. I'm not finding the right word, but it just fit really well with the movie. What that read fit really well with the action.
Very cool. And I'd like to introduce our new guest. We've got Brian Fischler with us. He's also part of the Blind Tech Show with Jeff. And thanks for joining us, Brian.
Hello.
Howdy.
So
Hi.
I think I got you on mute, Brian. Let's see. There we go. Hi. Still no audio, Brian. I see you talking, though. let's see. So let's see. Oh, and Jeff, no obligation. Love for you to stay as long as you want, but you don't have to. It's been so great to have you. It'd be great for you to continue to stay on if you're willing. We're still going for another 45 minutes. You're more than welcome to stay. It'd be great if you could, but you don't have to.
This is awesome, you guys. You guys are doing a great job.
Great. So what I'd like to do next is going to be a choice. There's going to be a little bit of setup here, regardless of your answer. But if you could all use the chat window to say whether you would want a high-paced audio description, what I'm calling nightmare, where the visuals and the audio are all out of sync to what's happening on screen, and there's very specific timing. So that's one choice. It's a trailer. It's a movie trailer audio description. And the other choice is documentary with a lot of subtitles. So if you could text in the chat window if you want nightmare or if you want subtitles or if you want something else. Let's give you a third choice. So something else, nightmare, or subtitles. We've got 2 nightmares already. Documentary, great. All right, I'm going to start fist bump. Yeah, there you go. Great. All right, so we're going to start with the nightmare because that was the first one that I saw come up. This is the audio description for a trailer for an action adventure, not horror, but pretty close to it, called Bloodshot. It's going to take me just a second to find the script. There it is. Opening. All right, so this is pretty much free and clear audio description, and it's pretty long. So I'm not sure if you're able to scroll through all of the text, but let's try it. That's me beeping. There we go. Doesn't like it. I'm going to have to piecemeal it. Hang on. Ha. Hey again. All right, so here's the alternative. I still have the screen share. You should be seeing a black screen right now. And I'm also going to add the audio description script. So let's see how to do this. Give me a moment for formatting.
Is there any way we could watch this first, or is this going to be like the fun part of it is just trying to wing it on the fly?
Most of the experiences with audio description are winging it on the fly. So if you don't want to go first, you'll be able to watch it. If somebody wants to take the chance with the double nightmare cat, nice. Okay. Whoever, let's see.
Let's make it a triple nightmare.
Triple nightmare. Okay. So could I randomly choose Brent to go first?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool. So there are no cues here for timing. And what we're going to ask you to do is keep an eye on the visuals and listen to the audio to take your cue. The trick with this is that you're going to be pre-describing a lot and post-describing a lot. So what I'd like to ask you to do is trust the script as best you can. And when you find that you're talking and things aren't happening on screen that are the same, just keep talking. It's this is an absolute nightmare what you're about to experience. So you're gonna do it wrong, and it's gonna feel great.
Okay, when do I come in?
Let's see.
A man with a laser-guided shotgun shoots another man whose blood and skin explodes from his face in slow motion.
So that's the wrong script. That's the wrong thing, but that's the gist of it for the opening. On the right one. All right. So some of the screen is covered. Brent, are you okay with that? Let me just show you some images here throughout the thing.
Yeah. What do you mean some of the screen is covered?
Oh, right now, maybe your screen isn't, but I've got, from my screen share view, it looks like our attendees are blocking some of the screen. But if you can, if it's
no,
working okay
it looks
for you,
perfectly for me.
Great. I'm going to do my best to scroll. Do you prefer a slow scroll, or do you prefer a more stop and go like this? You're slow?
Either one. Dealer's choice.
Okay. All right, let's see what happens.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to jump in.
I'm starting right at 0, like right as soon as it jumps in?
Yeah.
All right.
And brisk is the key.
Cool.
So keep it moving. And it's also pacing. So when there's a paragraph mark, yeah, maybe a slight pause, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Here we go for the next 2 minutes, 40 seconds. I am putting on my seatbelt, and here we go.
A man with a laser-guided shotgun shoots another man whose blood and skin explodes from his face in slow motion. The man aims back and fires.
Initiate sequence.
Vin Diesel, Bloodshot, official trailer. A man's hand turns the radio dial. Text appears, Sony Columbia, a Sony company. A montage of images. An alleyway with clothes on lines. A car driving along a coastline. 2 men in camouflage walk together, smiling.
I'm sorry
a woman
to
opens the
tell you
door.
this, but you got yourself killed.
The man holds her head
At
and
our
kisses her.
ST,
Now his
we
eyes
rebuild
open.
the most important
Woman
assets
red.
in
He
the
rises
U.S.
from his
military.
dressing table.
Soldiers like yourself.
Outside a high-rise
You're the
building.
first who we've
He
successfully
punches
managed to
support
bring
beam, which
back.
cracks.
But improved, enhanced.
A man cuts his hand with a
Technology in
knife.
your veins. You have an army inside you.
The woman is
Not
bound
only
and
make you
gagged.
stronger, it will heal you instantly.
The woman is bound and gagged.
Now
The
tell me,
bearded man
do
aims a
you
gun.
remember anything?
A truck scrapes against the side of a wall. An SUV crashes into him head first, flipping into the truck's
Where are you going?
I've got unfinished business.
Several snipers shoot at him. He walks forward.
man who murdered my wife and killed her.
He grabs his sniper gun. He fights more snipers. His chest glows. Initiates sequence. Flashbacks show the woman smiling. Hand turns it out. The man rides.
That's not good.
Images of headshots appear
All right,
on
shut him
screen.
down.
Table. The man clenches his teeth and screams.
And initiate sequence.
A face on the screen renders it real life. The man opens his red robotic eyes. Text appears
Okay,
based on the
who is the
best-selling
next
comic
target
book.
for elimination?
A man with robotic insect-like arms on his shoulders extend and scrape along to
Tell
either
me,
side of the
do you
wall.
remember anything? Do I know you guys? I don't think so.
He attacks the man. Multiple faces,
They've been
the
manipulating
same
you.
gun. A coastal pier
What you
assembles
think
itself
is
from
real.
black and white steel.
Sometimes ain't. And initiate sequence.
The man stands facing another man in a suit. Text appears, being a hero. The man and the man with insect legs fight. They fall on the side of the building, fighting each other as they plummet between scaffolds. Text appears in his blood. Through a red fog, the man walks forward. A lab explodes. A woman attacks 2 men.
Revenge is what makes a man like you exceptional.
The man's face explodes.
Nothing about men like me.
It reassembles as he shoots the gun. Vin Diesel, Bloodshot.
Absolutely fantastic.
A man opens his hands and eyes wide, whistling.
They're playing this on repeat?
Coming soon. www.bloodshotmovie. #Bloodshot.
Nightmare over.
Wow, that is a nightmare.
So I'm talking over. I was talking over them some of that time. I mean, do I just plummet? Do I just pummel through that and just know that they're going to edit that to match, or like, are they expecting me to do this all in one take when I get there?
That's a great question. For this job that you did book, by the way, let's just call this a booking, because you threw yourself in and kept it going. Specifically to answer your question, this script doesn't allow for time code. You've got no idea what the characters are saying, and you should. This script should include lines of dialogue so you know when to jump in and when not to. So you were talking over lines of dialogue because you didn't have a choice and you didn't know. So kudos to you for blowing through it in spite of that challenge and to be able to keep it going. The goal of this is to give you the experience of what it's like when there's a lot of audio cues that are happening. There's a lot of different, I mean, I'm not even sure how many cues there are. That was like maybe 30 or 40 that you kept it going. And you didn't have a choice. I don't know what the experience was like for you. Could you share a little more about that?
I mean, it's like a fever dream, really. That's just the only way to describe what I just did. That was, I'm listening and I'm adapting to what I'm supposed to be doing as I'm going through it. So at one point, right at the beginning, I'm like, oh, I'm just pummeling through. I'm just ramrodding straight through everybody who's talking on screen. And then at a certain point, I was like, oh, I should stop doing that. So then I stop, and then I pause, and I'm doing that. And then at another point, I'm like, oh, I have to do that because I have to finish the end of this sentence, or else mid-sentence, I'm just cutting off in the middle of the sentence, and it's not going to make sense. So then my brain's, it was just mental gymnastics. It was like playing the weirdest game of Brain Age for Nintendo. That's what that was like.
Nicely done. And I just found out that the audio from your experience may have been too hot and too loud. My apologies. I'll fix that for the next round.
Oh no, I loved it. It's helped.
Jeff or Brian, if you're still here, what do you think?
He did not quit. He kept going and trying to find your spot, your groove, and stuff like that. I gotta hand it to you. It's tenacity. You stuck it out. Good for you.
Well, thank you.
No, obviously for something like this, we would have to stop and pick up every time that there was a flub or any time that the things got too squished together. Our goal here is just for you to have the experience of what it's like to do two-time audio description for action adventure.
After this is over, can we watch that video of what this actually was like?
If you'd like to, sure.
Yeah, I'd love to see what the actual thing ended up as.
Happy to. And Audrey or Kat?
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm getting from this is you're giving us an example of what an audio describer faces when the people who are putting it together really have no earthly idea what they're doing, right? I mean, it's like there's so many words that could probably be left out. Like, is it really germane that the shotgun is laser guided and I have to use like 4 extra syllables when I would cram into the, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yes.
Okay, these people don't seem to quite get it. Am I correct?
It's, in general, audio description gives a brushstroke of the play-by-play of the movie. Jeff, I'm curious if you have any feedback on the writing of this particular script, from what you could tell, as far as what
I did hear that laser guided, and it just made me think. I think sometimes some of the words, there's so much going on there. It was like chaotic and just shifting and laser guided. But that gave me something to bite on, like, oh, it's laser guided. And then boom, 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 it went off. So, yeah, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, I think the word
Audrey,
fever dream pretty well describes the movie as well.
what
This,
about you, Audrey? You got a smile there.
this personally, this would not be something that I would watch. It was very explosive and in your face. Not so much the words, but just everything going on at once. I would hope that there would be some sort of direction instead of just blindly going up. There was just so much going on just at once without breaking the scenes out. It was very exciting to listen to. It wouldn't be something for me per se. I think it was a little over the top for me.
Gotcha. Would you turn down a job like this?
I wouldn't. I would want to be able to see it first and feel it. You know, I mean, just to do it randomly. There was so much going on. It was so big. Without being able to view it first, like someone else had suggested, if we could see it after, that would be very helpful. I don't know if that happens all the time. Maybe they just give you the words and you go with it and you don't have any clue if that's what the director would want. I think it would be helpful to watch it first, you know, play it out on a screen, and then you see the words come by and you're reading it. So you have some gist of what's going to be happening next, because it was a lot.
Great.
But I wouldn't turn it down. I would just want to be able to view it first. I don't think that would be a big no, would it?
No. Where a lot, and again, this is a nightmare, that when it comes to action adventure scenes or action adventure movies similar to this, that you are given a script that's basically feels like an audiobook with a bunch of time codes that you have to match. And in this case, you don't have the advantage of the time codes. You
Right.
don't know what the language is. You don't know what's happening. The challenge for this is not to recreate an exact experience. The specific exercise here is to practice the distractions of audio that are just bombarding you, and to continue to say the words in the intent as they seem. So, again, I didn't mean to throw anybody under the bus here, but I didn't want to share that ahead of time. That the intent is, and maybe I should have. The intent here is to allow those distractions that you're hearing to keep you on focus and on task of what's happening. And I think, Brent, under all circumstances, having never seen the audio, having never heard the audio, having not seen the script, having somebody scroll the script for you without you controlling it, and all the other elements, you did a great job. And that's that experience that you had, that adrenaline pump of, oh my God, what's happening next? I can't, that I forget how you called it, that is part of the experience. This is an intense version of it that takes away a lot of the advantages that you will have in a real session. However, that emotional experience that you had personally is going to allow you to get into the gist of what an audio description script similar to this might feel like. So we're taking a lot of liberties here.
And am I completely blind walking into this? Or do they send me a script? Obviously, I don't think they're sending you the video because they don't want that leaked, but are they sending you the script at least in advance, or are you just showing up?
You get it about 2 seconds before you start reading it.
Oh, perfect. Just enough time.
It's a cold read. And so, I think you had used the example earlier about reading directions of whether it's a play or a feature film, that maybe you have the advantage of reading it ahead of time. I mean, you can scan through it, there's some action adventures where there's like a 50-second pause and you can kind of anticipate the next line and see what's coming up. But for the most part, it's ice cold. And to Audrey's experience, she when she directs herself, she does have the luxury of the privilege to be able to get a sense of, oh, this scene is kind of this flavor or that flavor. So there's different approaches. This is a very specific approach where we're throwing you right into the wonderland.
Fun
Roy,
times.
If I may, say like Saving Private Ryan or some show where there's a scene, battle scenes, any battle scene, there's a lot of that noise, and I think that's one of the areas as a visually impaired person, you do lose a little grip on what's going on, and you want to know. So as the noise goes on, when there is audio description, I tend to block out the noise and listen to the description as it kind of walks me through it. And I know what's going on. It's chaotic. But the steadiness, as Roy was talking about, the steadiness of keeping on reading would actually be my little breadcrumbs through that chaotic mess.
Thanks, Jeff. And that's our intention here with this particular Bloodshot. We've got about 28 more minutes. I'd like to move on to the next person. I believe everybody was going. Oh, Audrey, you wanted the documentary. Could I ask you to go last so that we can keep the this script up and ready for the next person? Would that be okay?
Of course.
Great. Thanks. Who's next?
I can go.
All right, great. And Elia, I know we've got a few things that are happening here. So what I'm probably going to do, just to accommodate our if you could use each of the breaks here, you see like between fires and a title, that there's like a little break. What I'll do is I'll just turn up the volume of the audio from the trailer just for a split second. So you can use those pauses in between these, what I'm calling paragraphs, to either take a very short breath. We're talking, it's not a second, it'll be less than a second long. But just so that you can have the experience of feeling what you're hearing at the same time, just so we can all accommodate and still listen to what you're saying. We'll see how this works.
Thank you.
You got it. And again, we're going to start right out the gate with you narrating, and I'll try my best to accommodate the volume so that we all can hear you as well as you can hear the audio from the trailer.
Great.
You ready to dive in?
Do it.
All right, here we go.
Man with a laser-guided shotgun shoots another man whose blood and skin explodes from his face in slow motion. The man aims back and fires. Trainer. A man's hand turns a radio dial. Text appears.
Gina, I'm home.
Montage of images. An alleyway of clothes-on lines. A car driving along a coastline road. Two men. The man holds her and kisses her. Now his eyes open, glowing red. He rises from
RST. We'd rebuild the most important assets in the U.S.
military. The man flicks a safety grenade clip. He throws it between two other men. A sniper watches from outside an exploding entry. In a gym.
Improved, enhanced.
Small insect-like creatures swim through his bloodstream.
Stronger. He will heal you instantly.
A man cuts a hands with his knife. His wounds sear together. The woman is bound and gagged. Rolling the side of a wall, a SUV crashes into it heads first, slipping into the truck's windshield.
I'm gonna find the man who murdered my...
Several snipers shoot him. Grab the sniper's gun. He moves forward snipers. His chest glows. Initiate sequence. Flashback.
All right, shut him down.
He lies in pain on a table. Images of headshots appear on the screen. On the table, a man clenches his teeth and screams. A face on his screen renders in real life. The man opens his red robotic eyes. Text appears. A text appears. Based on the best-selling comic book, a man with robotic insect arms on his shoulders extend and scrape along either side of a wall. He attacks the man. Multiple faces aimed at the computer assembles itself from black and white to real. The man stands facing another man in a suit. Text appears, being a hero. The man and the man fall off the side of the building, fighting each other as they plummet between the scaffolding. Text appears.
Can't control me forever.
A lab explodes. The woman picks two men. The man's face explodes with
Exception.
as he shoots a gun. Vin Diesel. The man's opened his hands and eyes wide, whistling. Vin Diesel, Bloodshot. A man opens his hands and eyes wide, whistling. Coming soon, www.bloodshot.movie, #bloodshot.
All right. Woo. And again, all accommodations for our technical challenges, but what was that experience like for you?
That was a nightmare. It was difficult to the top of the script is so machine gun that actually in the second half there's big gaps where everything plays itself out. You have to pull way back. So as I'm looking over there for the gaps, the scrolling, and then I lose my place. But it's a great introduction into shooting from the hip and just kind of going for it. But that's really difficult. That was very difficult. I feel like Brent did a way better job timing out and pacing those marks. That's a real trick.
Well, I also had the benefit of being able to hear the whole thing, so wouldn't beat yourself up, because I thought you did a really good job of keeping steady and punching through it. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those where I feel like I feel like you did as good as you could do under the circumstances,
Jeff?
I really liked, you did not let it get to you. You just kept that, as just mentioned, steady. You just kept plowing through it. And even though some things happened during it, you were just consistent, and that's all that matters. And that you just keep that pace going. Good. It was really good.
Thanks. Audrey?
I think he kept up the pace under the circumstances extremely well. Also, with you moving the scripts, it was a little choppy for him, and the audio going in and out, but he kept with it. I mean, it was steady as she goes. His voice didn't fluctuate, weak, strong, his energy level stayed, and I got to hand it to him. It was a lot, but it turned out really well, considering that he couldn't hear it all, and the pace not, just seeing it once before.
Thanks, Audrey. Kat?
Yeah, same. I mean, I agree 100%. I could see that, like there's too many words in the beginning. And then it's like the writer said, oh, we need to back off a bit, but they didn't go back and edit their work. Right. So, what I really liked was I didn't feel like you were getting frustrated with it. It was just, you just were telling the story as best as you could. You were, and then once actually the words got out of your way, towards the end, it fit really well.
Great.
It's I think at the beginning, like I think Kat, you were like, why do we have to have the description of, why are we cramming in a green laser scope on a shotgun? I mean, and then at the end it's so vacuous and so vacant. I don't know why, except that as part of research, sometimes I actually will spend time playing video games. Right now I'm on Call of Duty, and there's a lot of shotguns with green lasers. I guess that's the hot thing. So maybe at the top, they're putting that in the description so as to show this is edgy, this is new. Whereas at the end, that's the confusing part, because there's so much breath, there's so much air that trying to keep an eye on that action it gets really tricky.
Also, I'm sorry, Kat.
No, go ahead, Audrey.
What I was going to say is, looking at this text, what I would typically do is, where there is text appearing, whether it be credits or hashtags and websites or whatever, I would highlight that so I would know that I have to see that coming down the pipe, and it's just, mushed in with everything else. So as you're reading it so fast, you're not aware that maybe or maybe not Sony, Columbia, Sony Company, Universal, whatever, is going to be written, that you're going to be reading that as text. I would highlight it if I had time.
I have a question. And I 100% agree, but I have a question. Like, to what extent would you, as the person who's reading this, say, the point of this particular scene, and in fact of the entire movie, is not that this guy is getting shot in the face. It's that his face reassembles itself. So he just shrugs off the damage and keeps going and is unstoppable. You know, like, at what point, generally, are they, you know, open to that, or is it just basically like, shut up and read the words?
It's never shut up and read the words. It's I find that the narrator's goal is to bring this script to life that you've been given, and to trust that the director and the editor of the script knows why they chose those particular words. The analogy I like to use is that if you believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a typical film, let's say a second, is 24 frames a second, that's 24,000 words that the writer of audio description gets to choose from every second. Did I get that right? No. Yeah, 24,000 words every second that they can choose from. And then multiply that by 90 minutes, that they're constantly getting rid of anything that's not essential. And also making sure that it's timed correctly to land between the lines of dialogue. Again, this particular script, we're blowing through it. We don't have the timing. What we practiced earlier today was the tone, what emotional tone you bring. And then we went into the timing of the script with the imitation game. This is all holds barred chaos, and it's intended to give you the experience of what the feeling is when you have to keep going and you're like, what's going on? What? So to your point, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And yet here's this person who keeps on reassembling himself. In addition to making sure you have the timing correct, in addition that you're saying the words clearly that our audience can understand, you're also bringing that, wait a second, this guy doesn't die. He keeps on reassembling and there's stuff happening in his bloodstream. All this is amazing. And to bring that amazing emotional intensity to the script, to time, in between the lines of dialogue, in a way that audiences can understand it. So yeah, for this particular script, it's not a fair script. It's never been fair, but it is another aspect that we're focusing on within this course. Kat, speaking of all that, you want to give it a shot?
Sure. I can crash and burn. Ah, huzzah.
That's the goal. I love that you said huzzah. So I'm going to be monitoring the audio. So the rest of us may not be able to hear you, and you will not be hearing all the audio from the trailer. But for your experience, if you could try to keep your eye on the visuals and listen as much as you can when you do hear the audio, and I'll do my best to try to scroll through. Obviously, a lot of limitations with our microphones and audio, and I appreciate you understanding.
Okay.
Here we go. If you're ready.
I am ready.
All right, here we go. Out the gate.
A man with a laser-guided shotgun shoots another man, whose blood and skin explodes from his face in slow motion. The man aims back and fires. Vin Diesel, bloodshot.
And initiate sequence.
A man's hand turns a radio dial. Sony, Columbia, a Sony company. Montage of images, alleyway of clothesline lines, car driving along the road. Two men in camouflage walk together, smiling. A woman opens a car door.
I'm sorry to be
The
the
man
one
holds
to
a
tell you
computer,
this,
now
but
his eyes open, glowing red. He rises from a futuristic table. Outside a high-rise building.
rebuild the most important assets in the U.S.
The man flicks a grenade safety clip. He throws it between two men.
First, we successfully managed to...
Entryway. In a gym, the man punches a punching bag.
The technology in your vein.
Swim through his bloodstream. He punches a support beam which cracks. A wound opens up in his hand.
Instantly.
The man cuts his hand with a knife. His wounds sear together. The woman is bound and gagged. The man aims a gun.
Where are you going?
On the side of a wall, an SUV crashes into it head first, flipping into the truck. Several snipers shoot at him. He walks forward, on his chest. He grabs the sniper's gun. His chest glows.
It's not good.
Flashback. Oh, the woman smiles. A hand turns the dial. The man writhes in pain.
Okay, who is the next target for limit?
Images of headshots appear on screens. On the table, the man clenches his teeth. The face on a screen renders in real life. The man opens his red.
Do I know you guys?
I don't think so.
Text based on the best-selling comic book. A man with a robotic and scrape along to either side of a wall. He attacks the man. Multiple faces aim the same gun. Black and white to real. The man stands facing another man in a suit. A man with insect legs fight. They fall off the side of a building, fighting each other as they come.
Can't control me forever.
Through a red fog, the man walks away. The lab explodes. A woman attacks two men.
What makes a man like you?
The man's face explodes with skin and blood.
You know nothing about men like me.
Vin Diesel, Bloodshot. A man opens his hands and eyes wide, swiftly. Coming soon, www.bloodshot.movie. #Bloodshot.
There we go. Wow.
That was super hard. It's like you really need to practice it because it's like the words are just, it's really hard to get I was stumbling over the words like crazy.
Hey, Jeff?
It didn't show that you're stumbling. I really liked the word cadence came to mind, that you just kept on punching away at it, but it just rolled out. It was really good. I really like the tone and the way you kept the pace with it. I wouldn't say you stumbled over it because it just rolled. I felt the pace of it going. It was good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Audrey?
I thought it was great. Are you sure that you haven't done this before?
I'm absolutely sure I have not done this before. Thank you so much, though. That's good ego, boo.
Yeah, no, your reading was impeccable. You know, you didn't miss a step. Yeah, you were spot on.
Very cool.
Well, I have to
Brent?
say, I have to thank both Brent and Elia because, you know, watching you guys struggle through that as well, I was kind of starting to mark some of the timing in the video. So, Audrey, you had mentioned before, it's like, can we see this? I think that's really vital.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
I thought you did terrific. I don't know. It's inherently hard, but I think that you read it with a good pace and confidence, and it's you know, it's a nightmare, but I thought you trudged through the nightmare very well.
Yeah, especially since you haven't done this before. That's starting to sound like a story you cooked up beforehand. Just get rid of your butt. You did so well. It makes me go, she's brand new to this and she's doing as well or better. I got to do something.
I am not.
You
But
did.
Thank you.
Other comments? All good?
All good. It was great.
Cool. All right. So, Audrey, we've got The House of Cardon for you. This is the documentary with subtitles. We're going to lead in with, and again, we've got our limitations with your microphone and our audio. I'm not sure how to overcome that. But what we're going to do is on about 2:48, you'll see, go the other way. Here we go. 4, 5, 6, 7. So, who is Pierre Cardin? Hang on a second. I've got the wrong audio. Just one moment. Stand by. Thanks for your patience, everyone. The second man that starts talking at 2:48 is who you will start subtitling with, reading the subtitles. That's a very difficult question, is what you'll say. In 10 seconds, you'll hear it.
È molto difficile questa domanda.
I got the timing wrong. So sorry. So this guy in yellow is who you'll be narrating. And thanks everyone for your understanding here. I've got a little too much going on my screen, but I think we've got it. This is the time code that you'll be watching, 2:44. So in 4 seconds, you'll hear the man 2 start. And you'll say, that's a very difficult question. He'll be speaking in French. And about 3 seconds later, you'll hear the laugh, and you'll say in a museum through this, Fong Fong. And then you'll hear Fong Fong start. What I like to let everyone know, I'm sure, Audrey, you know this, but for those of you who haven't done subtitles in audio description before, it's not to sync. What you're going to do is allow the audience to listen to just a little bit, maybe a second, give or take, of the person who's speaking, so that the audience can get a sense of, oh, this person's speaking in French, and then you translate. It's the same example that we used earlier with the UN example, that a UN translator kind of is listening and translating live. That's a similar experience, even though you know exactly what you're going to say. It gives the audience a sense of, oh, this is French, or this is Chinese, or this is another language, and it gives the tone of how the person is speaking as well. When you're, Audrey, as you know, when you do the translation, when you do read the subtitles, you're going to give just the flavor. If they've got a certain attitude, if they're being a little sarcastic, just give the flavor of that, as you'll see her do. Or if there's someone that's just throwing it away, that's what she'll bring. She's not doing dubbing. And that's a real important distinction, especially for those of us who have done dubbing. This is a unique way that's so similar to dubbing, but it's, again, audio description. Audrey, I know you know all this. I didn't mean to, it was for the benefit of the rest of the attendees here. So we're going to try what's happening here, and we're just going to go through 3:17. So do you have any questions?
I'm starting at 2:48. That's a very difficult question, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So this is for everyone that's watching, where my mouse is, 2:44 in the top left corner. Is the time code that Audrey will be following. Ignore the time code that we have been following on the other playback, where I'm going to hit play. So Audrey, you've got 4 seconds, and here we go.
Qui est Pierre Cardin?
That's a very difficult question. In a museum, a man in a yellow suit contemplates. In a canyon, models struck down a runway. Fong Fong from Pierre Cardin's China gives an interview. It's impossible to define like fashion designer or something else. He surpasses this. Dionne Warwick, singer. Models wearing similar dresses holding hands. Amber Bouchard.
Many of his ideas
have
become mainstays of the fashion industry.
Great, thank you. All right, and obviously you've not heard this before, so the timing is so all over the place. By the way, when this documentary does get released, it's fabulous. It's one of the best. So audio description or otherwise. Jeff.
I liked it. I think that the music beat got me going, and then you kind of hit that your cadence was going, everything was moving in the same motion, I guess, if that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you stuck with it. I thought the beat was going, and it just kind of, I started going, then your voice came in, you're just another instrument in the orchestra, it was good.
Thank you.
What a compliment. Hello?
There we go. I thought it was really clever the way she went from the narration to then kind of like it's impossible to define him in a single definition. She's actually doing what Fang Fang is saying, right? But not dubbing. That was very well done and very tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I watch a lot of documentaries with the better half on military history, and there's always somebody speaking in German or whatever. And that idea of, let them start to talk so you get the sense, okay, she's talking in Cantonese, and then, which I think that's what that was. But then you jumped in and started to explain. That was documentary. That's what it is. It was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought your pacing was excellent on that. It felt, I don't know, there's a confidence to what you did that really, if it wasn't the spot that it was intended to be in, it felt like it. So
thanks, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's important that you nailed is the tone change with not only the subtitles that you're reading, but also the transition. So if you on the script, it says, in a museum, a man in a yellow suit contemplates. The next sentence is, in a canyon, models strut down a runway. Those two sentences are in the same paragraph, but they're a scene change. And to allow the audience to just give that nudge, hey, we're doing something different now. And there's a way to deliver that tone when you're narrating to give that story the transition that it needs. We're really close to wrapping up with, I'm going to put our Help Network producer on the spot. I'm comfortable to go longer, let's say another 10 or 15 minutes, so that we can have some Q&A time. You're not obligated. This is, we did have some technical issues, and I want to make sure that you're getting your value out of this. And if it's all right with everyone, let's keep that going. And then at the end of the Q&A, I'll play back that the bloodshot if people are still interested. So
with me, Roy. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, great. So let's open it up. And Jeff, I won't put you on the spot, but if there's a question that you'd like to answer, please jump in. I'm only going to be sharing my perspective as a narrator. So your experience as an audio description expert in excellence and quality is definitely going to be kicking in here. So everybody's on mute, but if somebody oh, sorry, Audrey, you're not on mute. Do you have any questions, or do you want to start, or do you have anything?
So everything going forward is going to have AD, correct? On television, HBO, Netflix, everybody's coming on board with this, so everything will have audio description?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, the current HBO Max has launched for sighted people, but it hasn't launched for our blind audiences. There's been no official announcement that HBO Max will have audio description. So one of the things that I'm understanding from our audiences is that speaking up makes a difference. So it's not just for our blind audiences to speak up, but it's for those of us who care about audio description, quality and excellence, and access to say, hey, HBO, if you find them on social media, if you find a way to contact them, that you reach out and say, I'm a sighted narrator and you don't have access to audio description. Why are you turning away from the nearly 30 million blind and low vision Americans versus others across the world who could be subscribing to your subscription channel? Why haven't you made an announcement about that? That it is up to us to make those steps, not just for self-interest, but because we all need to be included.
Right.
That's a very strong personal opinion. But to answer your question generally, HBO currently doesn't have it, but Netflix and Amazon have been pretty consistent about bringing not only archive titles, but new titles. Apple TV Plus has not, I think, 7 to 9 languages of audio description. That's not dubbing. That's like blind people that speak different languages. So
Right.
they're, and it's in Dolby Atmos, for Christ's sakes, excuse my language. So there's a lot of access steps that individual companies and streaming services are taking, but they're all pretty unique. Jeff, can you talk any about any of this? Yeah, I don't think we're hearing you. I'm so sorry.
I'm not hearing it.
Still nothing, Jeff. You give us a little test 1, 2.
How's that?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, there we go. I like that. Was that Pepcat or something?
Pepcac.
Yeah,
Pepcat.
It's all the way across the board, and yeah, you give a strong opinion there, and I believe in that, and I think voice your opinion. I guess that's where I'm at. Roy likes to be an advocate for good quality everything, and he's done a great job, and I like good description. I like good, of course I do. So
Thanks, Jeff. And thanks for asking, Audrey. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Kat, I see you're unmuted.
Yes, I have a question. I've asked this before, but besides sort of the machine narrated stuff where you just have Siri narrating stuff, right? In terms of human performances, is there any particular performance that stands out to you, Jeff, as like absolutely the worst wretched thing that you have heard, like totally disengaged you from the story? You could not believe what you were hearing, so that I or we can go and listen to that and know what not to do?
I usually don't engage too much long after. I mean, I think one of the worst things is if you get a script that doesn't do it justice, and that's not your fault. But if you're watching Castaway and the audio description says 20 words through the first half of the movie, I don't think that covers it, So I always don't think it's the voice or the words or the emotion and stuff like that. That's usually not the problem. They usually got that down. I think it's the writing that has a lot more to do with it than what I find distracting. So either it's not worth it, or I don't need the audio description because there's enough information, and I don't know if they weighed that out, but typically I would say it's the writing.
And no particular examples of, the last time I remembered watching, insert name here, this was just, it was unbearable. I couldn't deal with it.
No, like I said, I probably wouldn't finish it, or if I didn't care, it didn't help. I do know that Forrest Gump was one of the first ones that just turned me on to awesome audio description, that feather, But then, like Roy said, some people say that some of the stuff was not in the same sequence as the sighted person watching, but that didn't bother me at all. But that was the first one that really stuck out to me as, wow, this is an art form.
So if someone were to want to go into audio description without an agent, how would they do that, Jeff?
That would be Roy's question.
The best thing to do is to connect with the companies that provide audio description.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I would recommend is that if you do have a demo, let me phrase this like this. There have been several people I know who have submitted interest in becoming an audio description narrator, and they sent an example of what their voice is. And I understand from the company that makes the decision to hire the talent for audio description, they said that is probably the least appropriate demo I've ever heard, and I'm never going to bring her in. Absolutely not. And this is the same demo that a different company said, this is the best. I love this voice. It's been wonderful. So it's very important that when you do get to the point to find opportunities, that you research how those vendors provide audio description. If you're looking to get work, the best thing is to listen to what those vendors provide and what they say is quality. There are different, in the same way that when we watch a movie or a TV show, that and Jeff, you can attest to this, that directors have their own point of view. And I find that audio description vendors, while there are many similarities, they also have their own unique styles that contradict each other. So do your research. That should be leading to the next question is, well, how do I research? There's a lot of different places that you can find out about audio description. The two places that come to mind immediately are, if you're on Facebook, you can write this down. It's the Audio Description Discussion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group that's run by Kevin Thompson, no relation to Jeff. I don't think you guys are related.
No.
So it's one of the more lively groups of not only audio description narrators and audiences and writers, but also decision makers. If you follow along with, and by the way, I don't think you have to join. It's nice if you do, but it's publicly available. So you can see what people are sharing, assuming that those people are allowing what they say to share.
Mm-hmm.
It's so lively, and there's a lot of contradicting information there. There's people that have disagreements, and they're very healthy. It's the kind of engagement that can give you a flavor of what is being sought out, not only by the audiences, but also, to your point, what the different vendors are. So I'd recommend caution before just throwing your hey, hire me to everybody, because I want you to work, and there's a way to do it. I've been doing this for about 7 or 8 years, and there's still some companies that I have a relationship with them, but I can't get hired to Tuesday. It could be that they've already got a voice that sounds like me, and that's something that all of you can consider. If there's something that you hear, oh, that's really similar to my voice, it's something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if that's helping, but that's just a very brushstroke answer that I think will get you going.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Audrey. That's awesome. And I kind of want to follow that up. Is there an easy way to tell who has narrated what movies? Not the actor, but like company-wise. Like if you go to the company, does it say, here's the list of films that we've done narration for? Is that something that people typically keep on their websites?
acb.org/ADP. So if you Google Audio Description Project, the ACB has a kind of like a sub website of all the titles that have audio description, and they also list the vendors, the resources. Netflix, I think, is now saying they grandfathered in anything new since last year, where they provide not only the narrator, but the writer and the vendor. So that's probably a good place to start, is listening to the credits of Netflix specific projects after 2019, where they are listing their credits. And I find that sometimes you don't hear the credits because they don't have enough time. So it's a guide, not a 100% guarantee. That's a good place to start. And that's, yeah.
I've got a few things I'd love to ask you here, Roy.
Bring it.
One of them is you said that there were 2 great resources, and you mentioned Facebook Audio Description Discussion. Did I miss the second one?
The Audio Description Project, if you Google Audio Description Project, it's under the acb.org/ADP.
Project, cool.
It's a website that I think was designed in 1990. So that's when you know it's right.
Awesome.
It looks like it.
I visited. I just looked at what you put in.
Okay.
Okay. Follow-up question is, man, where to start? So, what does a session look like? Do a lot of these companies expect you to come into studio, or is it now being remote connection with a home studio? You mentioned before that some of these, they just send it to you and you do it. Like, are they sending you the whole movie and then you're going through it and they send you a script of what to do and then you're just editing it all through Twisted Wave? Or what are some of the processes here?
Each company has their own take. As Audrey mentioned, she's self-directing. There's other companies that do Source Connect. There's other companies that bring you into the studio. As far as the pandemic, that going into the studio has been put on pause. And I think in Los Angeles, they're allowing film shoots to start. I'm not sure what companies are going to provide protections. My understanding is you need 6 feet and a face mask. I don't understand how someone could narrate anything with a face mask on when they're 6 inches away from a microphone. There could be protections there. I don't know. I really don't know. But if we talk pre-pandemic, there are companies that the experience would be you show up at a studio and you're given a script, and like I said, 2 seconds later you start rolling, and you just go through each cue and take a break when you need, and then you're done when you're done. There's other experiences where you're going to be given a specific software and you plug in the individual lines of audio description based on the timing of the cue, which is built into the software. So Twisted Wave, if you're recording from home, would probably not be the most ideal. It would cause a lot of work. I love Twisted Wave. I think it's one of the best software programs for a Mac. It's not useful for audio description because you need to sync with audio and video. There's some workarounds, and I've done audio description on Twisted Wave before, but it's clunky. Pro Tools or Reaper would probably be the best software options if you're going to self-direct.
Okay. Is a lot of this stuff union or non-union? Like, what's the skinny on that?
Right now, in the entire world, there's one company that hires union talent. The rest of it is not non-union. It's outside of the union. So people who are in SAG-AFTRA can do this work in the same way that people in SAG-AFTRA could be a manager at a Starbucks. It's outside of the union. I'm not clear if the union is organizing it, but if you have interest in protections of pension and health benefits, the union's the way to go.
Okay. And you mentioned a demo. Could you explain to me what an audio description demo sort of would look like?
That's a great question, and I'm not even sure if I could cover that. There's, like I said, it's imploded on a lot of talents that have had hundreds of credits to their name. So exercise caution that a demo can definitely backfire. Demo is basically an audio description sample that either has video or doesn't have video, but it is paired, mixed with original audio from the film or the TV show.
Ah, okay. And like, if I am going out for some of this work, like, is there a rate card somewhere that shows like what the rates are of stuff like this, or what is the, what would sort of be the amicable, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm negotiating, say, with a company that is doing this, like, is it by words? Is it by time per finished hour? You know, what does that sort of look like?
It's the Wild West. So some are based on 4-hour minimum. Some of them are based on per finished minute. So instead of per finished hour, like an audiobook, it's per finished minute. Some of them pay a flat rate for a half hour. Some of them pay a flat rate for archived feature film. It's all over the map. There's been projects that I've done for free, and there's been other projects that pay a percentage of the SAG daily minimum. So there's a lot of fluctuation there. And I think as standards become more, like right now, the companies that are being hired to do this are being squeezed in a way that puts them in the position of having to cut everything, not just narrator rates, but editing and directing and mix, and maybe even quality control. I think it's really important that blind people have a paid contribution to every audio description. I don't even think that that's happening. So there's a lot of things that are evolving and changing right now. So it's a really hard question to answer, and I'm not evading you. I just don't. There's no way to say. So basically, from $0 to $1,000
per gig. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
So if you get paid less than $0, if you're paying to do it, it's probably not a fair gig. And if you get paid more than $1,000, then you should continue to work for that company.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a good basis.
Anything else?
Well, I put my question in the chat, and that is, you mentioned about like a demo tape would at least contain audio from a film so that, you know, the company can see how your voice meshes with that, and I get that. So you'd probably be writing your own script, right? And then on top of that, there's copyright issues. Like I get fair use, you know, for the purpose of commentary and stuff like that. Is that type of use in a demo covered by fair use, or do you need to actually approach the originators of whatever it is you intend to use and ask them for permission?
Two different branches that we can go off on to that tree of a question. The first is that it's still uncharted. So I know that on-camera actors can use demos under the fair use. There are voiceover talents that use samples from their work, whether it's a link to a YouTube video or they create their own. The other opportunity is if you have a Chrome browser to go to udescribe, I think it's .org. It's as soon as we all hang up on this call, you can jump on there and find thousands and thousands of YouTube videos that blind people have requested to have audio description. I was going to save this for later at the end of it, but now's the perfect time just to answer your question. If you're looking to get into this, your opportunity is right now. As soon as we hang up this call, use a Chrome browser, go to udescribe.org, help our audiences get audio description for the projects that they're looking for on YouTube, and also use them for your own work. So there's really no excuse to not only help the community get what they want, but also help your career and give samples to what you can deliver when it comes to approaching these vendors. That's a very strong opinion. Anything else?
All the questions I had have been answered, so thank you.
Great. Cool. Let's wrap it up. Somebody said that they wanted to see the original Bloodshot to see how it turned out.
Yes, I'm fascinated to watch this.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to randomly select a scene just to see if the audio is okay.
Snipers shoot at him. He walks forward. Bullets.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go.
A man with a laser-guided shotgun shoots another man whose blood and skin explodes from his face in slow motion. The man aims back and fires.
And initiate sequence.
A title appears. Vin Diesel, Bloodshot, official trailer. A man's hand turns a radio dial. Text appears. Sony, Columbia.
Gina, I'm home.
An alleyway with clothes on lines. A car drives along a coastline road. Now his eyes open, glowing red.
What is this place?
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but you got yourself killed.
He rises from a futuristic table.
At RST, we'd rebuild the most important assets in the U.S. military. Soldiers like yourself.
The man flicks a grenade safety clip.
You're the first who we've successfully managed to bring back, but improved, enhanced.
He throws it between two men.
With the technology in your veins, you have an army inside you that will not only make you stronger, it will heal you instantly.
Small insect-like creatures swim through his bloodstream. A man cuts his hand with a knife.
Now tell me, do you remember anything?
His wounds sear together. The woman is bound and gagged. A bearded man aims a gun.
Where are you going?
I got unfinished business.
A truck scrapes along the side of a wall.
I'm gonna find the man who murdered my wife and kill him.
An SUV crashes into it head first, flipping into the truck's windshield. Several snipers shoot at him. He walks forward, bullets impaling his chest. He grabs a sniper's gun. He fights more snipers. His chest glows.
Oh, that's not good.
All right, shut him down.
And initiate sequence.
Flashbacks show the woman smiling. A hand turns a dial. The man writhes in pain on the table.
Okay, who is the next target for elimination?
Images of headshots appear on screens. On the table, the man clenches his teeth and screams.
Tell me, do you remember anything?
Do I know you guys?
I don't think so.
A face on a screen renders in real life.
They've been manipulating you.
The man opens his red robotic eyes.
What you think is real,
Based on the best-selling comic book.
sometimes ain't. And initiate sequence.
A man with robotic insect-like arms on his shoulders extend and scrape along to either side of a wall. He attacks the man. Multiple faces aim the same gun. A coastal pier assembles itself from black and white to color. The man stands facing another man in a suit.
You can't control me forever.
You sure about that?
Being a hero,
Revenge is what makes a man like you.
he fights the man with insect-like legs. They fall off the side of the building.
You know nothing about men like me.
It's in his blood. Vin Diesel, Bloodshot.
That is absolutely fantastic.
The man's face explodes with skin and blood. It reassembles as he shoots a
I
gun.
just heard this. Are they playing this on repeat?
Coming soon. www.bloodshot.movie. #Bloodshot.
So that's Jeff, I got to let you know that probably 60% of what the audio description is off by 5 to 10 seconds based on the visuals. That way we can work around the dialogue.
That was interesting. Thank you for showing me that. I was like, oh,
my!
It's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
That was awesome. But yeah.
And there's like with trailers, there's 500 different cuts. There's no way to even get 10% of what's happening. There's no way. But
you needed a shoehorn.
Yeah. I just interviewed we interviewed somebody from NFB for the new bonus episodes of the Know Your Narrator podcast series. And he had some incredibly great suggestions. One of the things that happens in live theater with audio description is that audiences can show up 15 minutes earlier and get a sense of what the stage looks like, what the characters look like, what the flavor is of the play they're about to experience, so that when the audio description starts during the play, the audience already has a sense of what's happening visually. And the suggestion was that, with DVD extras or special extra downloads that you can have, that would help, especially with science fiction movies, to give the audience a sense of what's happening. 1917 is a film that's done in one take, or at least it appears like it's done in one take. And there's no indication in the audio description that that's what it looks like, because there's no time. So there's a real case to be made. And this is a great example that, if you had a heads up of what was happening ahead of time, it'll help you get into the immersion of the experience even more. Anything else?
I'm looking forward to hearing all your voices in the theaters.
There we go. That's the endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Boy, thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it.
It's been great. Thank you.
So much, Roy, also.
Thanks for being a part of this and for sharing your time today. And Jeff, what a pleasure to have your feedback here. It's very important to me as a sighted narrator that nothing about us without us is respected. And I don't do this just to model it as much as the value that you bring to your feedback to our narrators means so much. So really means a lot that you were a part of this.
Well, thanks, Roy, and thank all of you. I really appreciate that you're looking into this. Oh, someone sent a message. I just think it's great that you're getting involved in this because it is important, and it is, something that a lot of people do appreciate it. And, like you said, who's doing what and all that. It's neat that some companies are, the ACB, the describers list, that provide us with information like, oh, Roy's doing that, or this company is doing that, or it has audio description. Sometimes just accessing it is the problem, but knowing that your voices are going to be possibly in the future here on some of the stuff is really great to know that you're doing this and what Roy's doing as well.
And I got to do a shout out for Audrey. Can you list the name of the film that you worked on so you can let Jeff know?
Yes, Jeff, I completed Mickey Blue Eyes from Universal.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was Hugh Grant and Gene Triplehorn, James Caan back in '99.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asked to do the AD narration for that film. So
good. Now I get to play it and say, I know her.
It was a blast. I love doing it, and I'm hoping in the future I get a chance to do some more.
Great.
Thanks again, everybody. Anything else? If you could email Help Network and give your feedback to this particular class. As you see in the chat, we apologize for any technical difficulties. This is obviously a multi-experience with the audio and the video and all the other elements. So I appreciate all your patience, and I'm glad that you all were able to stay a little bit longer to get some Q&A out. So I hope this has been helpful. If there's any feedback, it's more than welcomed. Things that could be improved, things that you'd like to be done better, or things that you really want to make sure that are kept. So please let Help know. And please consider taking any of the other Help classes. They've got some of the best in the business, and it's everyone that I've ever attended has been some of the best takeaways that still stick with me to today. So glad to see you part of it.
So what's the best place to send that feedback, and what's the best way to keep in touch with you?
Oh, thanks. So I think Help Network is sharing not only a link, but maybe some other. Yeah, there it is. There's a way to give feedback, and Julian has shared his email there.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'm on social media. There's a fan website, Roy Samuelson, and if you want to learn more from other narrators, there's a Know Your Narrator podcast series at theadna.org. That's theadna.org. It stands for Audio Description Narrators of America. There's a Know Your Narrator series. I'll repeat that website one more time. theadna.org. And one of the top hits is Know Your Narrator. I think it's about maybe 5 interviews. Tomorrow they're going to start launching the bonus episodes of influencers, decision makers, and audiences that talk about the nuance of audio description, not just on the narrator side, but on the overall experience. It's we've got interviews all the way through August right now, and every single one of them brings their own nuance and their own take. For about half an hour each. And if you want to learn more about what our audiences thinks or what other narrators bring to the table, I recommend that podcast. And that costs you nothing.
What was that again, Roy? What was that website for the podcast?
Oh, sure. It's I'm going to text it to everyone so you can have it. The ADNA, Audio Description Narrators of America, theadna.org.
Oh,
and that's sure. And that's not affiliated with HelpNet. It's just something that we're putting together. And the goal within that podcast is to bridge the gap between entertainment industry and our blind audiences.
Great. Thank you.
I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to all of you. I mean, Roy and Jeff, especially for, organizing and running and being a part of this, but Elia, Brent, Audrey. I mean, it's like it was amazing. It just was absolutely amazing. I couldn't have dreamed of a better introduction to how this all works and what the community is like. So thank you so much.
It's mutual, Kat.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat. Thank you to everyone. I loved this webinar.
Same.
Great deep. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks.
And I didn't know I was not visual for like the last half hour.
No, you haven't been.
Sorry. Technical difficulties. I've been smiling the whole time. That's what you missed. Yeah. Thanks again, everybody.
Perfect. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you all. Take care.
Take care.